Hello.
Hi.
It is episode 31 of Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, and that is Mark Sargent. And that movie was from 1967, and I'm not going to say what the name of the movie is. So maybe somebody in Q&A is going to come up with the answer. We don't have any prizes to give. It'll just be a notch of cool on your belt.
Well, we can't give prizes.
No, it's against YouTube rules.
It's against YouTube rules.
My channel will be shut down, and
because it's considered an exploit that you can do just about anything you wanted. You could say, first 100 people to comment get a or thumbs up, you get a chance at a new car or something like that. And Jaron found out the hard way.
Yeah, well, we're not doing any of that, what they call contesting or lottery. Nothing like that here on the show.
No.
Because we don't play like that.
No, we don't.
Well, let's see. We've got Q&A, as I mentioned earlier. So if you've never been a part of a Q&A session, you need to sign in with Google+, and then you go to this video on YouTube, where you're watching it now anyway, and then you click on a little thing that's got 9 squares on it, and supposedly that'll get you right in. However, I have heard if you're using a handheld device of some sort, some of them won't work, and you might have to use a regular computer. In the future, you might want to email me any kind of questions, and I'll bring them up on the regular weekly Q&A sessions of Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes when Mark Sargent is here with me. And I do have a couple of those emails here, and for future reference, my email address is for the show is Miss Steere, MISSSTEERE, Miss Steere @gmail.com. All right. So what do we got to start off with? Shall we go right into, emails and Q&A?
Well, hey, let's deal with the unpleasantness first.
Unpleasantness? What unpleasantness?
Well,
Flat Earth? There could be finger pointing, people calling each other shills.
Controversy.
That would never happen, ever,
Trauma.
because we're all united as one and we're all working for the same cause. Why would anybody ever try to rock the boat?
Well, you'd think that, but a video was released just recently, and thank you to all the people that have emailed me and probably the people that emailed you as well for pointing out that, we might as well just say it, Mr. Dubé has made another video adding more people to the shill list.
Yes.
And reaffirming old favorites.
So you would be the old favorite, and
Yep.
I'm the new shill list person?
Yes.
But I'm already there on IFRS already with a 3-page spread. Thread, actually, not spread. And so if he ever does come out with a new show list, like a 2016 version, I hope I've shot right to the top, number 5 or something.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about here, if you've been in the dark for a while, or you're brand new to the flat Earth theory and you're trying to figure out who's on what side, Eric Dubé made a enemies list, Nixon style. How many months ago? Several months ago. And there were 14 people on it, and yours truly was number 1 with a bullet on the top of that list. And I think it was mentioned 31 times during the entire, that whole big list, and it was tied to a whole bunch of different people. Well, apparently that wasn't enough. So lately he's been jumping on other people's backs like yours.
Yes.
And it was pretty unfair. So how do you want to, do you want any opening comments on this? We're not going to address it that long.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to get to the Q&A, and questions are coming in, but I have stayed out of addressing this. I've addressed it a little bit on my Facebook a couple of times, but I want to stay above board. I don't want to dirty myself with any of this finger pointing. It's sort of beneath me to even have to address it, but enough people have spoken about it, and we'll read some of those today, that I've decided that it would be a nice idea to just mention it, that this is out. And I know everyone probably has seen his video, and it's an interview. And in it, he takes images, video clips from my Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes show, and shows them during this interview to show how much of a shill I am. And he decided to lift images from my Halloween, Flat-Oween, we called it, episode, where he, Mark, and I both dressed up in costume. Now, he didn't say while the video was playing that these people are in costume and this is for Halloween. He just presents us looking weird because we're in costume. And anybody who doesn't know myself or Mark and has never really seen us before will see people looking very weird. Mark was wearing his costume was martial law, where he dressed up as sort of somebody in the police. So he's wearing dark glasses and a black sort of outfit. And I'm dressed as somebody from Star Trek. And so we obviously, to anybody who never knew that that was a Halloween episode, would look like total weird freaks.
Yeah.
And Eric, of course, put that in there. He could have selected any other of my episodes where I'm not wearing a costume. Only one is what he selected, and he did that on purpose. Yeah. And those who follow Eric, who don't have inquiring minds and do their own research, will see that and go, oh my gosh, look what they look like. Of course they're shills. Condemned, stamp. Yeah. Also, he mentioned that Mark and I are drinking vodka in an episode. Now, let me tell you this. I like vodka. Mark likes alcohol, but not once. Not once have either of us drank vodka or any other spirit while doing a show. We did talk about someday, eventually, for maybe New Year's Eve, having a cocktail on air. But we never did. We did have an episode I called jokingly the drinking episode, but it was clearly stated in the very beginning I was drinking juice, and Mark, as he said, was drinking water on the rocks, which is what he's drinking today. Yeah. I am in no way condemning people who like to drink or saying that people who refuse drinking aren't cool. It's do what you want, really, when it comes to alcohol. It's up to you individually. Yeah. But for Eric to just blanketly say that we were drinking vodka during an episode is completely untrue. Not one episode were we ever drinking anything, nor did we say we were. So that's a lie that he told. And
I'd be really nervous about drinking on air anyway. There's two things I generally try not to do. One is gaming, and drinking at the same time because your reflexes get thrown off. And if you're trying to do a broadcast, it's not just the slurring. You tend to, say some things you probably shouldn't. There's an old Russian saying, which is what's on a sober man's mind is on a drunk man's tongue. And that's very, very true. Who knows what we'd say if we actually, got really lit up during a show. So no, we haven't even bothered to go down that road yet.
No. And that doesn't mean we won't have a New Year's Eve show with us having a toast of some sort of an alcoholic beverage.
I still may do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun. We're not going to get drunk. I mean, I don't do that. I don't get drunk anyway. That's not my style. So have I ever been drunk in my past? Yeah. In my early 20s, I, barely lived to tell the tale from being sick from it and learned my lesson. And many people have had those experiences before. Spinning room, the story. So, So anyway, Eric actually did certain things to manipulate Hollywood style our images to portray us in a certain way, and then also told a lie about what we were doing. And his purpose for doing this is what? I'm a small channel. I've been doing this since August 23rd, 2015. I only came into Flat Earth in March of this year. I'm a small channel with at the time of this recording, which is November 9th, 2015, have just a little over 3,000 subscribers. My purpose with doing this channel is to attempt to interview and speak with and, just enjoy conversation with various flat earthers of various stripes, meaning different belief systems, different races, different ages, whatever it may be, and present them and get their backstory, find out what makes them tick, find out how they discovered flat earth, find out their different theories. And then oftentimes I give my own opinion as well. And it's always presented as my own opinion. And I do learn from my guests and change my opinion occasionally, but I never change the opinion that I find the earth to be flat. Of course, that's just the underlying aspect of flat earth and other hot potatoes. And we discuss some other issues too. So that's why I'm doing this. And the reason I'm doing this, I have a radio background. And when I found out about the earth being flat, it took me quite a while to actually decide to do a YouTube channel. Most people, when they find out new things, just listen and watch videos. And it took me a while to come to the conclusion that this is the biggest conspiracy ever. And I couldn't set it out. And I had to figure out what to do. And the first thing I did was look back at my experience interviewing people. And I thought, maybe I can do that. And one of the reasons was because I looked at all of these great people who were doing videos and the ones that I could see their faces. And I thought, I wonder what makes him tick. I wonder where he came from. How long has he known the earth was flat? Because most people are presenting images and different viewpoints, but they don't ever really tell you how they came to their conclusion. And I thought it'd be great to be like the Barbara Walters of Flat Earth. I don't really like Barbara Walters, but I can't think of anybody better at this point. So I thought that would be a great thing to do. Oh, no, I don't like her. I don't like anybody in mainstream news. So anyway, I wanted to be me, and I wanted to use, whatever ability I have to just speak and make the show about them, whoever I'm choosing to interview, and have fun doing it. And so that's why I do what I do. I don't see why Eric would want to try to drag me through the mud. Because how am I hurting him with his 25,000 subscribers? I've got only 3,000 subscribers, and I never talk bad about him or anyone.
It's not about you, and you know me. I mean, I'm also trying to stay as best I can above this thing. But there was one thing that I noticed that I'd like to point out, and after this, I'm just not going to address it much, but I think it's worth mentioning, which is that he was interviewed by the guy from Sage Aquay Radio, and during it, the guy kind of put it to him. He says, you're being criticized for being, it's like, my way or the highway when it comes to Eric. And I thought, as I was listening, because I listened to the whole thing, and I realized as I was listening to it, it's like, you know what? He hates everybody. He hates everybody. It was just so much negativity, not just to the ethnic groups that he mentioned, but everybody in Flat Earth. And so then I came around and looked at it from a different perspective, and I says, and this is really to the people that are following Eric right now. If you're following Eric, who is he backing? Who is he supporting at all? Name me one guy or girl in the Flat Earth movement that he's actually said nice things about. There, as far as I can tell, there isn't a single one. He's alienated himself from everybody in the movement. He's a one-man show right now, which is his prerogative, of course. But if you're following that, how far is that going to go? In my opinion, there's only so many roads he can go down, and he's burning bridges right and left.
No man is an island or woman, and we all have to help each other, I think, anyway. And when I first started, I've got better with my videos and hope to get better still. But when I first started, I was very rough. Even if I had radio background, YouTube's way different. I have to set up my own equipment. I didn't really know what I needed. I finally got a microphone, lots of little stumbling blocks. But the only person in Flat Earth, aside from people messaging me, the only person who actually reached out was Mark Sargent. Now, did Matt Powerland reach out to me and attempt to include me in anything or even say good job or something like that? No, not really. Eric Dubé, not really. He did make a comment on my first video that it was great because I'm vegan and he's vegan, and that was fantastic. But the minute I appeared on your show, Mark, because you were kind of trying to give me a little more exposure, he just put me in the pile of shills, and because I'm associated with you. Yeah. And guilt by association, perhaps, or the fact that I had a guy named Mr. Moot on my show, who is a YouTuber with quite a following, who's Christian. And I, as I said earlier, interview many YouTubers, every different type, and there'll be more coming. Some you like, some you don't like, some you don't understand, and some you do. And the point that Eric had, because Mr. Moot wears a mask, like a knight's mask, and he has like a red painted cross on his face. Yeah, it sounds weird, but that's his shtick. That's his thing. Throughout the history of art, there have been people who have created performance ensembles for themselves that they wear, and it's just fine that he does that. I wanted to know what he was about, and Eric thought that if anybody came to Flat Earth as a newbie and just wanted to, put Flat Earth into YouTube and get some information, if they ever stumbled upon my one video on my channel of about 30,000 or 3,000, sorry, 30,000, 3,000 subscribers, they would stumble upon the Mr. Moot episode. And if that was the first episode they ever watched, they'd be turned off of Flat Earth forever. Now, what I say to that is nobody would ever put Flat Earth into YouTube and come up with the very first hit being Mr. Moot. It would never happen in a million years. No. But they could have come up with Eric Dubé's Ode to Hitler, of course, because it has many, many hits, and we all know the one we're talking about. So it's okay for him to have that, but it's not okay for me to interview a Flat Earther Christian who happens to wear a mask. I stand by the Mr. Moot interview, and if you don't like him wearing a mask, then listen to a different interview. It's just the way that particular man wants to present himself, and I stand by him because he seems like a very good person, and to me, that's what makes it. So that's pretty much all I've got to say on the subject, except for when I go to just a couple of letters that I received.
Okay.
We're
Sounds
done?
Great. Yeah. That's all I wanted to get out as well.
Yes, me too. And I know that Eric has good work, and I'm not saying that anybody who follows Eric is a bad person. I think that there are many people who follow Eric who haven't looked into things. They haven't found out anything about me. They just say, well, she's in CIA because she's got Patricia CIA in her name, or I heard somebody said somebody and that she was a shill. Instead of that, why not be good researchers? We're good enough researchers to find out that NASA and all the governments are lying to us. And why can't we go further? And instead of just, accepting what anybody says about another human being, why don't we look into them? If anyone has a problem with me or anything I do or say, you can message me. You can go on my Facebook. It's public. You can go on the Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes page and message me. And I do spend a great deal of time answering messages. And none of them are really that sort of message asking me if I'm CIA or not. But if you've got that kind of question, ask me. And yeah, sure, if I were, I'd probably lie to you. But you could look into that's the way it is, right? You laugh, but that is how it is. But what I'm saying is I'm an open door policy person. I speak to many people about whatever they would want to know, and I send them off to in search of their answers to their questions if I don't have them, and oftentimes I don't, and I send them off to people who provide wonderful videos. But if you're an Eric Dubé follower, fantastic. He's got a lot of work that he's not created himself. He has a lot of work on Flat Earth anyway that he's got from other great people and put together in a package that's great and easy to understand, the same way Mark did. And Mark's called a shill because he took information that was already out there and packaged it into his 12 clues. So if Mark is a shill because of that, isn't Eric a shill too? Because they've kind of borrowed and used other people's material to create something. All forms of art are that. There's really nothing new under the sun. Every picture's been painted, but if I paint a picture tomorrow, does it make me a shill painter because Picasso already painted? It's ridiculous, really. So do your own research. And even when it comes to looking into people who are called shills or agents or spies or FBI or CIA, we're real human beings with real feelings and real families. And it's not that this sort of thing hurts us and makes us go into a corner and cry. It just makes us divided. And this is all about, Flat Earth anyway, throwing off all the shackles that have been put on us by the different governments and by the liars, by the people in NASA, and striving for something better, where we don't just believe what we're told. We believe what NASA told us. So why would we believe what a quote unquote Flat Earth leader is saying if they're saying bad things about other people? You might not agree with all the different things that Mark has to say. I don't agree with all the things Mark has to say about his model of the way the potentially the Flat Earth works. It's a model, and he's open to changing some of his beliefs about how it works as new information comes. You might not like some of the things that anybody says about anything, but that doesn't matter. What really matters is the person's intent. And being a good person, being open with other people, being available, making yourself available, that's what really matters. And gathering a team around you and being helpful to other people. And I do not see Eric as being that person. I see him as being an island, isolating himself. And I don't think that the name calling and finger pointing and the whole shill thing is doing anybody in the Flat Earth movement any good. And it could eventually tear it all down and end it all. So that's what I've got to say.
All right.
Glasses on, because I've got to read the Q&A. That's Mark Sargent. I'm Patricia Steere. And this is Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. And I do need to add that I know that everything I just said now, and maybe this video, will be on IFRS tomorrow with all the IFRites poking fun at me. And I'm fine with that. Enjoy yourself. If that's what you want to do with your life, I think I'd find something better to do.
Yeah.
All
Don't
right.
be negative. I mean, don't be negative. Seriously. Why would you be negative in a movement that's actually building a music soundtrack as we speak? There's quite a little library happening of happy, positive, Flat Earth songs out there.
Yeah.
How can you do that and tear down people at the same time? It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. In fact, as songs go, all of us in Flat Earth, we're very different. And we're all like a giant record album. Yeah. Of different songs, this person's country, this one's rock and roll, this one's doing rap. And I don't mean the literal songs people are putting out. I just mean we're all different. We're all putting out our own thing. And there's a place on the record for all of us, but we all have to work together. We don't have to all believe the same thing, but I think we all need to be nice to one another. It's not hard.
Agreed. Oh, by the way, speaking of rap, you gotta do a quick shout out to Tiger Dan for that last Flat Earth rap song.
His done 2 rap songs.
Yeah.
His second, he's improved like we all do as we get better. I loved his first one, but Tiger Dan 925, if you're not subscribed to his channel, please do so. He's great. His second rap is so good, and it's just so good.
The man's bold. He's braver than me. Wow. I don't think I could pull off a rap song. Not the way he does it.
Well, no, not at all. Not at all. And Jaron and Missa as well have done a rap too. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got a couple of messages. Somebody named Nicole and somebody named David, and I won't even address, I just want to say thank you for the messages, and these are related to Eric Dubay. I don't even want to read them because we've already discussed that. And I'm not here to trash Eric Dubay at all.
Yeah.
I've been trashed by him, and I'm speaking out about it. So there we go. Case closed. Okay.
R.I.P. 100% debunked. Case closed.
Let's just go to the Q&A immediately. Then I'll read some of these messages I've got because people are waiting in Q&A, and I don't want to be, people thinking I'm ignoring them.
Being a bad host.
Are you ready? Yeah. A bad host. I'm the hostess with the mostest. All right.
Word.
See, you are a rapper.
Wicca, 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 wicca.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How could a shill do that? Come on, people. All right.
If he finished bottom of his class, he could.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We've got first question. It is from Chris Truthseeker, who says, do you think the flat earth person is purposely doing damage because of a higher agenda, or is this just petty childish jealousy or something else entirely? He means the flat earth person we were just speaking of, but he didn't want to speak the name.
Yeah, I can do that one real quick. It's ego. Of course it is. I mean, we all know, look, there's people sniffing money out in this movement. It's getting to the point now where people are trying to figure out where they want to be in it. And Eric's not dumb. He knows that if he makes a couple good moves and other people falter, he might be able to do some things potentially. And so yeah, do I think he's a disinfo agent? No, I didn't think Matt was either. Just they are what they are. Look, it's human nature. We claw. We're very competitive, especially in this country. And he's doing, he's gonna rip and claw his way up if he can. And you see it in politics all the time, especially nowadays. Anyone wants to check that out for themselves, go watch any of their major news channels any day of the week and watch all what the candidates do to each other. So that's
mudslinging.
Yeah, it's mudslinging. It is as old as time.
And if you don't mudsling, you don't win. You have to participate in the mudslinging. I'm not trying to win anything, but I don't want to participate in the mudslinging. I'm only going to tell you exactly what happened with this situation, but I'm not going to say anything bad about him.
No.
I don't need to. I just need to tell you what happened, and then you make your own decision.
Yeah.
All right. Agreed. Up next, does Mark have any plans to do any debates or have any scheduled? From C. Graw.
Boy, I'd love some if anyone actually had something lined up for me. People have been avoiding me for a while now, and I'm not shy to say that. I mean, I've done 37. My next one's going to be 38 pro interviews where basically, it's been either neutral or I've been able to run the floor, and which is great and all. But honestly, when I do listen to some people's debates here and there, and I'd really like to get in the mix. But the closest I came to a debate was the Art Bell thing, where I'd done his sister show, one of the lieutenant shows, which was called Dark City.
Oh crap's not a good name.
Dark City, I think. And I thought really, once I figured I was on that network, I said, oh, okay, well they're checking me out, and maybe they'll bring me on, and they didn't. So, if anyone wants to debate me, again, bring me some astrophysicists, bring me some astronomers, line them up. I don't care. I'll go 1-on-1, 1-on-3. It makes no difference, because the material that the Flat Earth movement has is really tough to argue against from the science side. Extremely tough, because science for a tool, the science really only has math. That's really their only big tool. And unfortunately, the bulk of the population isn't very good at math. Computer guys notwithstanding, they're going to have a tough go of it. So yeah, bring it on. Do I have any lined up at the moment? No, I'm waiting for the call to who am I going to go up against, and who's going to be, smart enough to do it.
All right. That question from Seagraw, and we do appreciate it. And Glaucoma is here with a very good point, and a point that I remember from listening to the interview with Eric and had forgotten. And that point is, I think Eric backed my perspective. That is true. Indeed, he did.
Oh, did he?
He did say that my perspective has good information, which I totally agree with. So hats off to you, Eric. That is fantastic.
Well, no, but that's. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to call BS on that one, because you haven't interviewed my perspective yet, have you?
No, I have not. I've tried. I've messaged him.
There you go.
So.
Well, that's it then. I mean, as soon as he does either your show or Strange World or Perspectives or any of the shows that are tied to or Jeranism, as soon as he does, it's basically as soon as Rory does any show, yeah, anybody's show, he's going to immediately be on Eric's hate list immediately.
Wow. Well, that might make a lot of people fear to be on my show or on your Strange World because they were afraid they'll be on Eric's hit list. That's not good.
Well, no,
Maybe that's the plan, to shut me down by having nobody come on.
well, it's a little late for that. This is episode 31, and most of them have been really good interviews. In fact, you've interviewed more flat earthers than I have.
Well, thank you, Glaucoma. That was a good and actually I like my perspective, Rory Cooper. I have 3 kittens, and one of my kittens is named Rory. So, and I always ask Rory what his perspective is, but all he says is meow.
Oh, you know what? And I've emailed Rory before. Rory, if you're listening to this or somebody call me or shoot me an email, I'll have you on Strange World.
Yeah, I've messaged him as well. I know he's quite busy though, and I do want to get him on this show. Yeah. And also he's doing videos where he's speaking too, so that's really great.
Yeah, I love it. His videos were good to begin with, but yeah, when he started adding his own narrative, it really took it to a whole nother dimension, and I love his stuff.
And he has a good voice too, so that helps.
Yeah. I was surprised. It was like, wow, what were you self-conscious before? I mean, yeah, he's got an accent, but because it's South African, but it's good.
So Mojo Shop says simply, thank you for the show. Well, thank you for being a part of it. Definitely. Should I read things that are negative, Mark, that come across? Or not?
Sure. Throw a couple. You know what? Why not? It's going to be the closest thing to a debate I'm ever going to get.
Okay, well, it's not really that. It's more about Eric. Should I skip those since we've already covered it?
Was it Eric's people?
No, they're just negative things about him. People are saying.
Oh, no. Don't go down. No, I was talking to somebody who has something negative to say about me.
All right, I don't want to say anything. I know that it's sort of like I'm not allowing free speech by saying that we don't want to get
no. Let me be the diplomat here, and that is, if you have something you want to go after Eric, look, just go on to the IFERS board, IFERS, the International Flat Earth Research Society board, and just log in and say something, and see how quick you can get banned. Jonathan got banned, I think, in 3 minutes. That could be almost a record. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I mean, commenting on the video as well that just came out, I guess, could be something you could do. But, you know, there are many, many subscribers there and very few here. So I don't expect anything to really happen there. So I will skip that question, and I will apologize to anybody who will be writing questions about Eric. I don't really want to read them unless it's something that will add to the conversation, because I don't want to make this about Eric, only just the opening part, just so that I feel good that I have addressed it.
Look,
right.
Just look, if Eric's listening, and I know he does listen to some of these things, look, man, just be more positive. Come on. You can't hate everyone. Seriously. I mean, it's the flat earth movement. It's a happy, positive, spiritual, paradigm shifting sort of thing. You can't be all Mr. Grinch the entire time. It's like, just get on the train with everybody else. Don't. Anyway, sorry. I don't want to get off on a rant.
Why not? Rants are good. Stitching Haven says, "Uh-oh, Patricia, you just pixelated. Are you reptilian? Just kidding." Smiley face. I guess there may be a bandwidth issue.
Yeah, it's probably on my end, because your bandwidth is really good, but it's probably your machine's probably buffering to handle what's going on with me, because I may be a little choppy.
Well, I'm not a reptilian shapeshifter, but I was accused today on another person's video of being a Freemason because I have red hair. That's a new one. Okay.
And you use the word bonnet.
Oh, yes, because in a conversation we were talking about Britishisms as opposed to Americanisms, words that they use to say different words. I mean, different things like a windshield, windscreen, hood, bonnet. And because I knew bonnet, that makes me a Freemason. No, it actually makes me a person who's been to England and Scotland several times. So, okay. All right.
British intelligence training, no doubt.
Yeah, of course.
They do good stuff over there.
Yeah, they do. I guess. Not that I would know. Okay, Rob McGowan says, what if we were all to write our representatives and senators asking for NASA to be audited?
That's a bad idea, but I got a better one, and that just reminds me. Actually, thanks you, whoever sent in that question. Remember that email I sent you about? I gave you that list of all the celebrities' tweet links,
Yes.
all the major celebrities' tweet links. That's what really you want to get this thing, take this thing to the new level. I think this is the way to do it. You go out and you tweet some celebrity and you say, "Hey, I think it'd be really fun to poke at flat Earth, make fun of flat Earth, basically. Don't go about it in a positive way, saying you should really look into it as a serious thing. Go the entire different direction and say, hey, maybe you should do a tweet saying these flat earthers are nuts, because really this is a whole, even bad publicity is good publicity thing. They absolutely, because once it gets out there, think of any major celebrity, or it doesn't have to be a politician. Politicians are pretty much just going to ignore it, but a celebrity might get on it. It's like, oh, I'm looking for something new to poke fun at, especially comedians, or people that are comedy actors. They do it. I know they would. And once it gets out there, then other people might follow suit. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Well, even
So,
somebody like Joe Rogan addressing it several times on his show
yeah.
maybe he's making fun and saying flat earthers are dumb, but yet people are thinking, flat earth, what the heck? And then they look it up.
I think Joe Rogan's smarter than he's leading on. I don't think he's just bashing it. Not three different shows. Not you don't have to bring this up three different shows.
Okay, so if indeed he's bought and paid for, because he used to say the moon landings were fake and now he says they're real.
Yeah.
If he's bought and paid for, wouldn't they have said you can't say anything about anything?
No,
under penalty of death, or
no. You could. In fact, they may encourage him to downplay flat Earth. But if he does it in a certain way, maybe they just he can come across as, look, he's bringing it attention, which he has. Alex Jones, same sort of thing. Eventually, if he addresses it, the same sort of thing will happen. And again, anyone listening out there, you want to have some fun, look up just celebrity tweet list and just start hitting them. They're all linkable, and shoot them a quick email saying, "Oh, those flat earthers, they're a bunch of idiots. They're crazy town," and see if anybody bites, because it would be great. Even if they do retweet it and say, "Oh yeah, flat earthers are a crazy town," if they've got 4 million followers, 5 million followers, whatever, the exposure would be fantastic. That's just my opinion, but I think
idea. I mean, it won't hurt. It'll get people to look up flat Earth. I mean, it
exactly. Will. Yeah. There'll be a lot of people that'll say, "Oh yeah, flat Earth is nuts," but there's going to be a certain number of people that are going to dig enough, and once they go down that rabbit hole, they're not coming out.
All right. Well, that's for sure. Let's go with our next question. Q&A is enabled. If you want to get in on Q&A, you've got to have Google Plus, I believe, and you just go to the video itself, click on a little thing that's got 9. I don't know. It's a little square thing, I've been told. You click on that and then you're in, and then you can ask a question in Q&A, and it can be about anything at all. We're not going to engage in any bashing of Eric, though. It's just enough. Let's see. The next question is from Justin Bernard, and he writes, how does it work when we see the sun is already set and we see the sun hitting the underside of the clouds? Mark?
Oh, you mean as far as the sun and the angle of the sun where it's coming in? I don't know. Other than the sun is a directional light source. That's a big thing I've been pushing to people for a while now, which is, and we've seen this in just about every animation, which is, we always thought of the sun. Remember, we're having to backtrack and kind of rewrite science here, which is the sun was this omnidirectional light source, like an incandescent bulb hanging in a closet. But it appears that it's more of a spotlight. So if it is more of a spotlight and it shines only in a certain area, that will handle the time zones quite nicely. And as far as shining on the underside of the clouds, yeah, potentially good. We're still working on that one, to be honest. You want to look at the guy that's making the most headway there, and that's Jeffrey Grupp, Grupp at zeticism.com, I believe.
Yes.
He does amazing stuff with that right now.
Yeah, and sundogs. If you've ever seen what looks like two suns in the sky at the same time, don't duck and cover. Just look up sundogs.
Yeah, where he goes into the reflectivity of the dome itself, and that it is the shape of the dome and whatever surface that is causing certain sundogs and certain aerial effects that we don't know, we took for granted, but now we're going to have to completely revisit them.
Hopefully we answered that question. There was a little I don't know in there, but
Maybe.
that's the way it is with some of these things. We don't quite know yet, and we're all trying to work on it, and many people have different perspectives. Our next statement is from Tinfoil Hatter, and it has to do with Eric, but it's okay to read this one. And it's about a guy named, I might be saying the name wrong, Rayne, Rayne, Griffin,
Oh, Rain,
Griffin.
yeah, Rain Griffin, probably the
Rayne
most
Griffin.
eloquent speaker in the flat Earth movement. Yeah, I know Rain.
He's great. He well, so Tinfoil Hatter writes, Rayne Griffin explains Eric quite well. He even likes Eric, so he's not biased against him. And he says it's basically not Eric's fault how he acts and how he is. So have mercy on him.
Yeah,
So,
Rain. Yeah, don't ever get on Rain's bad side because he will break you down from a psychological standpoint. Or if you want free therapy, make fun of Rain in a video, and he will go at length and spend hours and hours trying to pick apart what's in your head.
yeah.
And he dedicated some time to Eric because Eric and he had some exchanges. I think in the forums initially, Eric's forums did not go well. Rain is very articulate, very intelligent. And his thought processes are meticulous. So yeah.
I got a lot out of watching those videos. It made me really understand Eric more. And yet I still don't think that no matter what issues that he may have, that he has a right to attack other people. I just don't think so.
Yeah, if you put some of Rain's rants to like a sitar music, some Indian thing, it could almost be meditation right there.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so Jeff H. is the next one in Q&A here on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, episode number 31. And I'm going to say Stefan Molyneux's name wrong. Is that how you say his last name?
Oh, the French name, Molyneux.
Yeah, I think we're both
anyway,
kind of
he's got a couple 100,000 followers. Yeah.
Yes. Well, this particular question is, I saw Stefan Molyneux's interview a flat earther the other day, and the flat earther got destroyed. He could not answer any of Stefan's questions. He made flat earthers look like idiots. Have you seen that interview, Jeff H? Yes. And I don't think that he made flat earthers look like idiots at all. In fact, the guy's name is Stefan Chess, and he actually was bold and brave enough to contact the show and decide to be the person broaching flat earth with Stefan. And as the Morgile knows from being on Art Bell's show, when you step into a lion's den, you can be prepared, but yet you're never really quite prepared because they're the ones with all the followers and you're just the small person with just your voice and your small amount of followers. Yeah. And I think it was fantastic what he did. Did he answer every single question correctly? No. Did he make the statements about how flat earth works exactly correctly? No. But did he make many people in Stefan Molyneux's camp aware that flat earth exists? Yes. Yeah. And I think it was a form of a truth bomb. And I think it was brave and bold. And the man, Stefan Chess, was fully able to say, I don't know, and I'm not sure, and in a couple of times. But Stefan Molyneux was a bit laughing, like like pretending as if the whole subject was crazy. And he was already severely indoctrinated and brainwashed into the system. And there was no way anybody could have probably made salient points that would make Stefan think, well, wait a minute, flat earth sounds pretty interesting. Let me look into it. It was a no-win situation. And I don't think that he made flat earthers look like idiots. I think anybody would have done that. What do you think, Mark?
And, well, 2 points. One, the show host, he has to take, like many of the show hosts that I've dealt with over the past 8-9 months, he has to take a stance of that it's crazy, that it's laughable, because there's a real fear on their side of even bringing up the subject because they're afraid they're going to lose subscribers right away. I mean, if you have 250,000 subscribers, you really care about subscribers. And the last thing he wants to do is go down a path and all of a sudden lose 10,000, 20,000, whatever it's going to be, people that drop it over the next month because he realized, you're second guessing your decision. So that part I understand. I get where he's coming from there, although it's in his head and he did a show on it. So, hey, respect him for that. And he exposed all those subscribers to the topic. Anyone that subscribed got a notice somewhere. And so they know what's out there. But the other thing was the guy that he interviewed That guy he interviewed, he'd never done a YouTube video, right?
He'd only done one thing before, and it really wasn't an interview. It almost seemed like a call in because Stefan's face was the only face that was showing, but Stefan Chess, the caller, the flat earther, was just a voice, a disembodied voice. He had done that call in to Alex Jones' show.
Oh, he
Does
was
everyone
the
remember
guy.
that?
He was that
Same
guy.
guy who called into Alex Jones' show during Open Lines, if you didn't catch that, InfoWars, and dropped a little flat earth truth. And of course, Alex hung up on him and said it was, I don't know, just made excuses. Said we went to the moon and said that the pictures were doctored by NASA because they were exposed to radiation and were ruined. But, that's the explanation. So
think of as far as the bravery there, the confidence that shows you the confidence that this movement brings to people that they otherwise wouldn't. I mean, the fact that you're bringing up to family members is one thing, but to go up against a guy that's got 250,000 subscribers, it's a guy's own show and is used to popping off stuff, and you're gonna face him down. What sort of nerve does that take? That's amazing. You don't see that with other conspiracies. I mean, you've got to be well versed in other stuff to go up against people like that. And similar to the Morgile thing, but different, where the Morgile at least had put out a bunch of videos and he was up on some stuff. But this guy, he held his own for about as long as he could and did what he could. Honestly, kudos to this guy.
And also me too. And I think he will, because he's on number 2 now with his second hit on somebody in mainstream. But I mean, Stefan Molyneux, gosh, I hope I'm not saying that name too horribly wrong. I'm sorry if so. Is a person who he's an atheist as well. So
that doesn't help.
Steve, he went by Stephen Chess, was coming from the perspective of a creator. And so, automatically the Molyneux has a confirmation bias going. So there's just no way to win. And I read the comments myself, and I posted a comment because I always post a comment on any of these sorts of things, to try to get like a little mini truth bomb going. And I posted on my Facebook and try to get flat earthers to go ahead and comment. And Chris S says, I saw Patricia's comment on Stefan's video and couldn't resist, ended up making a super long comment. So I'm going to have to go read that, Chris. Hope it got a lot of likes, at least, from fellow flat earthers. And nice. Doing something like that is going to get a few of his audience members.
Oh yeah, will. Yeah, that. I smile every time a debunker tries to go after this thing with, anything over, in my opinion, anything over like 5,000 subscribers. It's like fantastic. You just exposed a whole new, and you can see it in the comments every single time they do it. Some of his regulars, whoever it is, whatever debunker, they always say the same thing. It's like, I can't believe you're actually dignifying, you're actually talking about this. This is ridiculous. Why are you even discussing it? That's exactly how it starts. And for a lot of these people, they don't actually go out and say, oh, well, I'm not even going to look at it. They actually type in flat earth and then they pull up the videos, and then the journey starts.
Exactly. Israel Adams adds, Trey Smith has a huge audience. It would be a good flat earth candidate who would make epic videos if converted. I don't know who that is. Do you, Mark?
I don't know Trey Smith. Is he debunker? Is he a pro conspiracy guy? It doesn't really matter. Just about at this point, just about every conspiracy guy, both pro and con, has heard of this. It's seeped out to where there's people emailing because it's the hot thing right now. Everybody knows. It's just a question of if and when they're going to deal with it. So you have 3 types of people. You have the people that are saying, no, I'm never going to touch this thing ever. I'm just to ignore it. The people that are on the fence and saying, maybe, but they don't, there's nothing that's tipped them one way or the other. And they're the people that are on board, but they're not sure if they want to make a show about it yet because of that fear, of putting, like Rob Skiba, how do you, because you're worried, or like Alex Jones, like Rob Skiba did it, right? But at a higher level, Alex Jones hasn't done it yet because he doesn't know what his audience may do. He's afraid, in the back of his mind, he's trying to sleep at night. It's like, will they come at me with torches and pitchforks? They may. But he's got, you got to take that chance one way or the other. Spin it to where the audience will digest it and, hang on, like that other guy. It's like, okay, I'm just going to go at it saying it's crazy. Convince me it's not crazy. Start at the advantage.
I got a message here that says Trey, that we're speaking of, is a creationist. So maybe like Kent Hovind, maybe he'll crack if somebody approaches him.
Yeah, send that guy Rob Skiba's testingtheglobe.com.
Yeah.
That's what I send to every creationist.
Yes, me as well.
Yeah.
Tinfoil Hatter has a great question. We could spend hours on this. Where do we go from here? It seems most people are about 93 million miles from the idea the Earth might be flat. Yeah.
There's a lot of people. This is what I like to call, and you and I have talked about this, the secret conspiracy, where it is like a secret drug, like a secret little club where people know about it, but they don't talk about it amongst other people. It's like, yeah, I'll talk about 9/11 and Sandy Hook and Boston bombing all the day long. But this one I kind of keep to myself and my very closest friends. One of those deals where it's like, okay, I'll send an email here and say, hey, this is nuts, right? Kind of feel them out. So where's it going? I think it's already going. It's spreading through social media as best it can right now. It hasn't, hit critical mass, not by a long shot, but I think we're still moving. No question. I see positive things every day. I still get tons of emails and phone calls, and the amount of people that are doing videos, it's still very, very exciting to be a part of.
Yes, it really is. Most exciting thing that's ever really happened in my life is discovering Flat Earth and all the great people involved, and just this feeling that is like no feeling I've ever had before, of having a purpose and having a goal beyond the goals that we usually have of, getting a job and that sort of thing. It's just, it's bigger than any of those things. It's more noble and
change the world, basically, literally. Yeah. Everybody talks about changing the world, but this is actually the real deal this time. You want to change the world, then do it. But everybody's got to find out eventually.
Yeah, and we're all part of it too. There's not like one person who's more important than another person. We all are part of it. Do what you can do, whether it's talking to your husband or wife, or making videos, or writing a book, or anything you can think of. We're all part of it. We're all equal.
Spread the word any way you can, and there are no rules here. So again, if you have to spread it kind of in a sideways manner, where you're being, do something clever, again, like bringing it up, like Lisa Harrison, for example. She was one of the people that interviewed me, where one of her friends, kind of like I was saying, she emailed her one of my clues and said, so am I crazy for even looking at this? That was her line. And Lisa watched it and says, well, if you're crazy, then maybe I'm crazy too, because I'm buying it. Don't go in and say flat earth. It's like, you got to believe. If you don't believe, everyone takes a while. People forget, because once they're converted, they forget what it took to be converted in the first place. Look, it took some people days and weeks. In fact, one of the people that did an interview with me, they were upset because they couldn't convince somebody in a night. And I go, are you kidding? I go, how long did it take you? It didn't take you a night. It took you weeks. So don't. You've got to be patient with other people. Plant the seed. That's the big key here. That should be a T-shirt. Somebody make that.
Yeah, Flat Earth, plant the seed. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Yes.
Because once it's in your head, it's not going away. It will be in your head until it's resolved one way or the other. And there's only two ways you can resolve it. One is you just deny it entirely and say, you know what? It's stupid. I'm never going to look at it. Or I have to weigh the options and decide who's telling the truth here. Is science and the military telling the truth, or is this movement telling the truth? And I got a funny feeling you're gonna go our way.
Indeed. That's Mark Sargent, and I'm Patricia Steere, and this is episode number 31 of Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. And we're doing Q&A today, so if you want to get involved, sign in with your Google Plus account on your your laptop or your home computer. Handheld devices don't work as well. You'll be able to listen and watch, but not get involved in Q&A. And then click on the video, and then you're in, and you can ask a question. And in the future, you can always email me your question at mssteere, MISSSTEERE @gmail.com, but not now, because I don't have time to print it out, because I'm talking to you live if you're watching this live. An additional comment that about the whole Stefan Molyneux thing is I did hear some of the Stefan Molyneux show. It was very difficult. The guy who was the caller, the flat earther, was not dumb. He just didn't pretend to have any answers that he didn't have. He was honest. And that's really all you can expect. If you're trying to explain flat earth to somebody and they ask you a question that you don't know the answer to, you can say confidently, we don't know that, or I don't know that. I'm going to try to find out, or it's something that we're in the process of discovering. Don't be ashamed about that, because NASA and the governments have all of these hard and fast answers about everything that we've been parroting for years, and they're all lies. It's better just to say you don't know. Don't you agree, Mark?
Agreed. I get questions all the time, which I can't really answer. I mean, the stuff with the sky, I get so many questions about the sky all the time, and I try to tell people, it's like, look, because they'll ask about the time zones or the Antarctic sun, or meteors or comets or planets or stars, or just anything revolving around the sky, and I try to simplify it. Remember, when I built the clues, it was really meant for everybody to digest. And I didn't make a clue about this, but I try to answer it like this. Like, look, if this thing is actually what we think it is, and we are living in the Truman Show, and it's, say, 8,000 miles wide, 10,000 miles wide, which is pretty big. I mean, by our standards, it's very, very big, but for other civilizations, maybe not that hard to do. If you can build a structure, a stadium or a planetarium that's 10,000 miles wide, is there anything you can't do when it comes to displaying what's happening in the sky? Is there any limits? We keep breaking it down into simple things. It's like, well, it can't be this. It's like, well, what about the blood moon? You can't be a blood moon if it's a flat Earth. I go, well, if the blood moon's artificial, it is. If the moon is its own display system, if the sun is its own display system, if the stars aren't really, really real, if the planets aren't real, or if they're forms of energy, or if they're sentient beings, we don't know. But what we do know is not what they're telling us it is. So you're gonna have to, expand your mind a little bit. Don't get hung up on one thing and then say, oh, flat Earth crashes down because of it. Because here we are 9 months later, and it has not crashed down. It just keeps going. Because even though you might say, oh, okay, maybe this doesn't work, or I don't understand this, there are a whole bunch of other points that do. But yeah, I'll be the first one to tell people, like, look, I don't know, or it's not what I focus on, but I'm working on it every day, working on trying to figure it out.
And lots of the things that you speak of are theories. You're not presenting them as facts. We don't know. Lots of things we don't know. We're just guessing as what possibly could be happening. From Stephen Murray, Mark's Flat Earth Clues. Oh, sorry, I skipped the beginning. I had a few family members watch Mark's Flat Earth Clues, and they're upset at me now because they cannot think of anything else. I just say, welcome to my world.
Yeah. Again, look. Well, I wasn't kidding. Treat it like Fight Club. The first rule is you do not talk about Fight Club, which means you gotta size up people before you hit them with this. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about here, go to the comments section and look at the polarization between the camps. That is the people that are on board, that are totally on board, and the people that are just fighting it with everything, with teeth and claws and eyes, because you're messing with their world. This is a conspiracy that deals with something that no other conspiracy or do. Some people, it's like, 9/11, who cares, right? Or Boston bombing or Sandy Hook. What does that mean anything to somebody who's in Africa or Australia or Europe? No, probably not. But if you talk about, an enclosed world, an enclosed system, a flat Earth, you're basically telling, oh yeah, by the way, the world you thought you lived in isn't really there. I mean, it's a complete mind trip. And a lot of people, they fight it. They treat it like anything that's very, very stressful. They go through the 5 stages of acceptance. So no, don't. Hey, great, fantastic that you showed your family those clues. Don't show anybody else like that. You feel them out first. Just throw some sideways things. You got to figure out how open they are, because if they're really closed-minded, they're just going to look at you like you're from the loony farm.
But I think what was being said is that his family's mad at him in a fun way, like, oh, why'd you do this to me? Now I'm obsessed too. And that can happen.
Oh, really? Oh, they're on board?
Maybe. I'm not sure. It could be that way. Yeah. I just received a question before I do these shows. If you're in my circle, I don't know how it exactly works on Google Plus. If you've added me, then I send you an invitation to the shows that you and I do, Mark. And people say, oh, I can't, I'm going to miss it, or I'll be there, in the live Q&A. And a particular person named Peaceful Patriot says, please cease invitations, as I will never listen to anyone that claims the sun isn't a warming influence. I've never said the sun isn't a warming influence.
No, the sun is a warming influence, sure.
He's incorrect.
Yeah, don't.
Confused by mishearing something that I've never said the sun isn't warming influence. I go outside and I get sunburned instantaneously. I'm a redhead. I know it's a warming influence. I
The
don't know what
sun.
he means.
Well, that and you're part lizard. The sun is the sun. Yes, it's a warming influence, the most worshipped object in the sky, no question. But what we're saying, well, I'm not vouching for you necessarily, is it is not what they tell us. It is not 93 million miles away. It is not hundreds of thousands of miles wide. It is not this giant fusion explosion. I'm sorry, fission explosion, or whatever it is. It's just not. It is something. I'll go with the Eric Dollard thing. I mean, it appears to be a transformer. A light bulb to a lesser extent, where it's being powered from something else. Something else is feeding it. But the sun is great, wonderful, but it's just the definition is going to have to change. Is it 30 miles wide? Yeah, probably, but it's not. It doesn't make it a bad thing. If it's much, much smaller, it just makes it more intimate. It makes it your sun, your
And
world.
your flat Earth, exactly.
And your flat Earth.
Exactly.
Got to get in my ASMR.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
Lord Stephen Christ.
Like, Lord, does he do ASMR?
I think he does.
And thank you, by the
accidentally.
way, for working him into show. That's
Yes.
great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so he just speaks that way, with his shirt off in his bed, with his hand up, with his bedroom eyes.
He'd be better if he grit his
Dreamily.
teeth more. Yeah, dreamily. Yeah, I get lost in his eyes when he's on his bed with his shirt off. He'd be better if he was angry like a thrash metal guy. It's like concave, man, concave.
You got to admit, though, he does hang with his belief system and won't let go. And I guess you got to admire that.
Geez, what I did just there was kind of like an Alex Jones pose. Nobody use that in a screenshot, please.
Okay, I know. All right, Disc World. This is a good name. Asks, what do you all make of the object/event in the sky seen from Los Angeles? Mark, I don't even know what it is. Do you?
Oh, actually, I sent you that video. I probably haven't watched it yet because you get a lot of emails. There was that bluish comet thing, which was in the Los Angeles sky. It was very big, very bright, very visible. It was at night, and it dissipated and went away. It was similar to that thing that was over Norway a few years back. The thing that was kind of spinning.
I remember that, yes.
That swirly thing, only this one wasn't swirling. It was more like a comet, but then it just kind of disappeared. It was kind of like it manifested, traveled for a while, and then poof. And it was too slow to be any sort of shooting stars. So yeah, whatever it was, I don't know. I could speculate all day on it. It could be a since I believe in other civilizations, older versions of ourselves, I don't call them aliens. I think they're, right here with us. I think that the previous tenants could be one of them having engine trouble. Who knows? Who knows?
It also could be governments sort of seeding the populace with more things for
more
the
images,
fake alien invasion.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I mean, it did get a lot of press, which was nice.
Yeah, the Norway one did. I didn't see this one, but I'll go look.
It just happened.
All right.
As far as I know. So yeah, check it out. But yeah, it could be. Also could be a government warm up for something bigger. Oh, let's hope.
Yeah. Yuck.
Oh, come on. Live a little.
Well, yeah. Okay. Right.
Or,
I want flat Earth to go mainstream. I don't want the government to bring the system down before it's allowed to go mainstream. I'm worried about it. It could happen.
They're gonna make moves. So they're making moves already. So we'll see. Let's see how far they go with it.
That's true. That's true. Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, episode number 31. Patricia Steere, Mark Sargent, and your Q&A questions. All right. This is from Daniel Winfield. Says, do you think we should hire a private detective to see where the astronauts go if they leave the launch pad? Interesting.
No,
idea.
they don't. They don't even get on the launch pad. I'm guessing. I think they put them into the truck, and they take them to this thing where they're supposed to actually get up and get in them. But no, if it was my operation, if I was running it, that's the last thing you'd do is put them on top of anything.
In Capricorn 1, they ushered them off. Kind of thing.
Well, in Capricorn 1, yeah, they got them actually into the capsule, then took them out. And That's not how you do it. You wouldn't even let them get into the capsule. You would keep them on the ground. Kind of like if you ever watched the Apollo footage where they loaded all the guys into those big vans, and then they took the vans away, and you immediately thought, oh, okay, they're going to go to the launch pad, go up the big elevator, and get in. But chances are is that van just went to somewhere else, and they got out and had coffee and donuts and sat there and watched the mission.
Yeah, well, that's what would happen with Challenger. That crew would have to be offloaded somewhere, van, or put in an underground base, after they took off their spacesuits to watch the whole event. And then when it failed and blew up, then they're looking at each other like, are they going to kill us now? What's going to happen?
Same thing with the ISS people.
Right.
The ISS people. You get the point is you don't take chances. You do not put anyone on the top of a huge pile of literally burning explosives. That is the last thing you ever want to do. I mean, anyone has any doubts, look up all those rockets from the testing program starting in the 50s. How many blew up on the pad? You don't want to put people near that.
And the odds of all the Apollo missions, which we all know are fake, all going perfectly well without any sorts of crashes. I mean, crash and burn events.
Oh yeah, don't get me started there. And people also forget that it wasn't just Apollo 11 through 17. It was also Apollo 8, 9, and 10. Supposedly Apollo 8, 9, and 10 also went to the moon, but didn't do anything. They just circled the moon, kind of orbited and then went home, supposedly. So that's Apollo 8 through 17. Round trips, no deaths, no injuries.
No cancer.
No cancer, no contamination, only one mechanical failure, and everybody was fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yet the Russians apparently never landed. Nobody's ever put a man on the moon except the United States.
Right. And of course, once we did it, the Russians just said, we give up.
Yes, let's quit. Just pack it up. Just shut it down. Just close. I mean, seriously, they treated it like no competition I've ever seen. It'd be the equivalent of a marathon where the people, once the first guy crosses the marathon finish, everyone else just stops, walks, grabs their water and just kind of meanders off the course. When would this ever happen? With the amount of money they committed to these programs? Really? That's what you're going to do? No, it goes beyond everything that we are. Why? People still don't talk about this. Why would the Russians quit? Why? This giant space race, it would not stop there. It would just keep going. It would be okay, who's going to build the first sustainable house on the moon, and then the first colony? Who's got more people? And then the inevitable, is there tension on the moon? Is there going to be? It just goes on. It would never quit.
There should be a reality show on the moon right now. There should be vacation spots. I mean, look at the movie The Time Traveler with Guy Pearce, where the civilization was destroyed because they were building condos on the moon, and were using giant nuclear explosions to hollow out these caves for these condos. Nike should have a big, glowing sign that says "Just do it" on the moon.
Oh yeah, Doritos should have something on the moon. and actually, they used what was that movie with Will Smith where he was a superhero? With Jason Bateman. Not I Am Legend was the other thing. Crap. Well, anyway, where he went up and actually drew a corporate logo on the moon at the end for Jason Bateman for a charity.
Wow.
Giant heart on the moon. And that was, again, that's the whole point. Because, he carved it, but you could do it with lasers. The point is, it is the best billboard ever. It's always up there. You can always do stuff. So why didn't they do it? It's because you can't.
Think about it. Antarctica, with all of the resources, if indeed the Earth were a globe, it would have been mined, stripped bare by now of everything valuable. There'd be condos there, probably. And the moon would be used for economic purposes. We would have mined it, and we would have condos on it too. It's the way our civilization is. We're greedy.
Yeah. It is one of the premier detective things that they point out to you, and that is when consistency is broken. And that is, people get into routines. We all do them. When those routines change, something's going on. So when you have to decipher that, it's like, okay, we make money. That's all we do. Corporate greed. And then all of a sudden, that corporate greed has no bearing on Antarctica. No bearing at all. The moon, corporate greed should have fueled that thing. The subcontractors should have gotten involved. McDonnell Douglas, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all those guys should have been there, and they should have gotten involved earlier. And what are we doing now? A Virgin Galactic, a freaking record company, SpaceX. Well, who's that founded by? Google, or one of the?
They're subcontracting with NASA anyway.
Yeah.
So they're bought and paid for.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It bugs me to no end. People got to see it. No, go ahead.
My Twitter is Patricia Steere at Miss Steere, and I do get some stuff on Twitter, and I printed out one from Art A, who mentions the Stefan Molyneux YouTube channel with lots of views, and the thing we spoke of earlier. I just want to shout out to Art A, and thank you for messaging me that on Twitter. and encourage anybody to do that. And you can follow me on Twitter, and I post a bunch of videos, other people's videos, especially new flat earthers, new to the movement. I try to promote them as well on my Facebook. So that's that. We do have an email that came in here, and I'll get back to the Q&A in a moment. This is email Q&A, which is, Alan writes, in April 1961, the first manned Russian flight goes into space. Then shortly after, on May 1961, an American becomes the second. In addition to the Antarctic Treaty was signed December 1959 and put into effect June 23rd, 61, about a month after the second manned flight to space. Do you think this is a coincidence?
No, there are no coincidences. There's two sayings which I love a lot. One is the first time is happenstance, the second time is coincidence, the third time is enemy action. The second one, which I love more, is I've heard of coincidences, I've just never seen one. Nothing when it comes to the big stuff. Yeah, coincidence is when you were just talking about your neighbor and you run into him at the grocery store. That sort of stuff. But this big stuff like this, no. There's way too many interesting big things that happened in the 1950s and going into the 1960s that changed our world forever. And that was the authority panicked, and they had to figure out how to keep the population from ever knowing, locking it down as tight as they could, what our world looked like. And they did a pretty good job. I mean, almost 60 years. And, it cost a lot of money to do. And it raised a few eyebrows, but they did it about as best as I think they could do it. But unfortunately for them, now it's starting to unravel. So no coincidences.
This comes from YouTube. Ty Burnham writes, I saw a Family Feud episode where Steve Harvey said, name something you wish wasn't flat. And the answer that nobody got was the Earth. And when it was revealed, everybody looked confused.
Really?
Very interesting. Yes. I don't know what.
Somebody put that video online. That's great.
Yeah, that is great. Next up, back to Q&A from Robin Poe. Mark, are you saying when Obama made fun of Flat Earth, he was doing us a favor?
I'm saying that he probably knew. And that's one of the things, I try to stay as positive as I can about Flat Earth. But when Obama mentioned it in the speech, because as we know, no speeches are off the cuff. They write them in advance. They pick the words very, very carefully. And I think at the highest levels, they knew this was coming. They knew it was, it was eventual. Like again, if I was trying to hide the world, I would have a backup plan. I would have a plan B and a plan C. And I think they knew. So yeah, Obama did kind of help us because it gave it some sort of credibility. It's a great video clip. And I love it because he was already president. He did it once when he was campaigning and then another time when he was president. It's a great clip. Yeah, so it's helping. Absolutely, it's helping.
All right. Up next from Kay Spellbreaker. I won't read the entire message because it leads back to what we spoke of in the beginning of the show, which we're not really going to speak of again. But Kay Spellbreaker says, good for you and Mark discussing what you did. You've evidently hit a nerve. That means you're doing something right. So if you're confused as to what Kay Spellbreaker is talking about, you can watch the beginning of the video.
I've got a funny feeling that's, isn't that the YouTuber Breaking the Spells?
Yes, it certainly is, Kay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She is good, so go to that YouTube channel and subscribe.
Breaking the Spells. It's good.
Yeah, she's got some good stuff. Talking about like a flat earth food as well. Like she's going to be doing a video on that. What does that mean? Well, go to her channel and check it out. Okay. All right. Up next, Nigel Bamford says, there's so much about the accepted model of the universe which doesn't make sense. How can heat from the sun travel 93 million miles, yet somewhere on Earth it's warmer than my home because it's 500 miles south from my location?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent point. If the sun is broadcasting its radiation from 93 million miles away, wow, you're talking about a really amazing balance that, if the Earth tips, if it's depending on the tilt where it is, you get that much temperature variation, from just a tiniest, I mean, we're talking how many decimal points out, less than 0.00001%, and it creates these wild temperature swings. Yeah, not buying it.
I remember when I was young, and I don't know the exact measurement, but I was told that the rays of the sun that were hitting me were very old. It took a very long time for them to travel from the sun to me. Do you remember hearing things like that?
Yeah, well, no, but it's not true. I mean, even if the sun were 93 million miles away, it would take, somebody's gonna have to do the math, a couple minutes, I think, because light travels at 720 million miles an hour. Something like that.
So
Well,
that proves to me that people who are talking about and telling their children about the ball model on which we thought we lived are even getting it wrong. Flat
yeah.
earthers seem to know more about the ball earth model and the world that we do live on more than people who just assume we live on a ball.
Well, because
It's weird.
our concepts are easier to understand. That's why. That's why this movement is gaining so much traction, because the concepts are easy. The bulk concepts, you know, the Antarctica, the Apollo missions, NASA, the planes, the GPS system, take your pick, right? The curvature, not a curvature. All these little things are easy compared to the science stuff, which gets jumbled up a lot. You know, like the astrophysicist, or was he the astronomer from England, who didn't know the 8 inches per mile squared when I read his letter on online. He was over in England,
Right. He
and
thought it was 8 inches.
yeah, he just thought it was straight 8 inches per mile, not 8
So
inches per
many
mile
people
squared.
do. And you can find that on Google and on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Disinfo.
yeah. And again, for those people who still don't get that, okay, it is 8 inches per mile. So if you have something that's, for the first mile, yes, it's 8 inches. So if you go out a mile away, if the Earth is curved, then it should drop about 8 inches. But it's squared. So the second mile, it becomes 2 times 2, which is 4, times 8 inches, which is 32. So it goes from 8 to 32, right? And then from 32, it goes, you know, out 3 miles, it's 3 times 3 is 9, times 8 is 72. So it goes 8, 32, 72. It gets, you know, further and further and further, because it has to, because if it's on, it, you know, it's not just a slope. If it's going over a curve, eventually it's going to go so far that it's going to go vertical. So it's got to get, you know, to do a sphere, it's got to get more exaggerated. And yeah, there's a lot of people that don't get it. Look, even took me a while to finally understand it. I stared at it, I was going, yeah, I hate math. And then, you know, after I stared at it a few more times, like, oh, okay, I get it.
Right. If it's
So
8 inches per mile, you're going to get a slope like the side of a pyramid.
yeah,
To make a ball, it has to be a gradual sort of slopey thing. So that's
yeah.
why it's 8 inches per mile squared, not
But
8 inches per mile.
but there's no excuse for that astrophysicist out in England, and I can't remember, Exeter University, I think, without looking it up,
Wow.
where it's like, look, he specialized in planetoids. So the curvature should be burned into his head, and he didn't remember it. So
Okay,
anyway,
but somebody, a naysayer, a ball earther might say, well, maybe you're wrong about 8 inches per mile squared. Where do you get that from? Maybe that's wrong, and maybe it is 8 inches per mile.
no, it's not, because 8 inches every mile is just a slope. It's just a straight line. It's just 8 inches, then 8 inches. It's a stair stepper where if you connect the stairs, it's really no different than a staircase where you just connect all the stairs. You could lay a piece of plywood on stairs, or if anyone's ever sled down their stairs in a straight thing, like their old sled, that's how that works. But in order to get a curved surface, it's got to get more and more exaggerated. So it can't be just 8 inches per mile. It's got to be something else. It's got to be, in this case, 8 inches per mile squared, and then it slopes off.
Makes sense to me, but how come, devil's advocate, playing that again,
Yeah.
how come Wikipedia and Google and other easily accessible sources from the mainstream say 8 inches per mile? I mean, I know why. What do you think?
Well, because people hate math, and it's easy to screw up. Mathematical formulas, for whatever reason, I know math is the universal language. So said Jodie Foster in Contact. But it is not something that our basic math we kind of get, but when it gets up in, to algebra and above, trig and calculus and quantum mechanics, it's there's a narrow band of people that really, really get into it like a fish in water. So that's why. I mean, it's an easy typo to make. If you're in Wikipedia, who's going to know the difference most of the time? Who's going to care?
I think it's more sinister. I think there maybe just disinfo put there to throw people off, so that when they're trying to figure out the curvature thing, which is a big, easy to prove thing for most of us, you can just do it over a body of water with your family and show it to them. That if it says in mainstream things like Wikipedia and Google, people will just give up and say, oh, well, I guess it's wrong, and just move away from flat Earth. It may be put there on purpose.
Maybe. I try to take the easier route, which is that people are just bad at math. And whoever wrote the page just forgot to put, maybe, like, if you have to write, for example, if you have to write 8 inches per mile squared, you gotta actually know some math to figure out how to write that. to, it's like, okay, 8 inches per mile parentheses x parentheses squared up top. Some people aren't going to know how to get that little symbol above there. I know that sounds too simple, but it's true. I would have to look it up, how to put that symbol above in the if I was writing a web page.
And also, there's probably no need to actually, until Flat Earth came along, there was no need to have that accurately put there. Exactly. Nobody was ever looking at it. Who cared? Yep. We all just lived on a ball, and why would we need to know that? It's like when you bought a house that's 2,000 square feet. You're not going to need to know how to measure your 2,000 square foot house. You live in it. That's where you live, and that's your house.
And that's the perfect point. And that is, we all missed it because it was always in our faces. We assumed everything. We assumed that the globe model was correct, and we assumed that any math tied to it was also correct, which is, again, why people say, well, you're not smarter than Stephen Hawking and Albert Einstein and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm going, no, I don't have to be, because all their work was based off of flawed foundations. They didn't know. They were just building their model based on the universe. Everyone's been building. That's the really, unfortunately, the destructive part of this, which is all that science that was built were built on pillars that don't have anything to them. They're all hollowed out. They're just gonna crumble all at the same time, and everything that was stacked on top of them goes with it. And literally, astrophysics and astronomy, those departments in every college in the world close overnight if this happens. And unfortunately, that is one of the bad things about this, because I feel bad for the people that had spent a lot of time. Think of somebody that's just doing their thesis now on astrophysics, and all of a sudden, tomorrow the newspaper says, "Oh yeah, by the way, the Earth is flat." What's that guy do? What does he do?
Start drinking.
Pretty much.
That's what you always say.
Go to liquor stores, say, "Find me absolutely the most expensive bottle of scotch you have, and give me a case of it."
We might as well just say vodka, as referencing our earlier aspect of the show. Right.
For you, vodka, but there's only so much money you can spend on vodka. I say scotch because you can spend a lot of money on scotch.
Really? Yeah, that's true.
Oh, you can spend thousands of dollars a bottle on scotch.
Right.
If you want. But vodka, I think you can spend, $100?
Yeah, something along those lines.
Well, what the most expensive vodka I bought was, and you have the same thing, which is Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Head vodka.
Yes.
That's about $50 a fifth.
I've not opened mine yet. Have you opened yours?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, me either. I don't want to.
I don't want to.
I don't drink alone, so I just have it because I wanted it, and I like.
But I have opened a bottle of that. I have drunk. I did consume a bottle of the your size, because I had the double fifth because it was a bigger head, and it is extremely smooth. It is.
I've had it.
Oh, you have had it.
I've had it, not my own bottle, but I had it at the House of Blues. I went to a concert in New Orleans, and they had it there, and I had a drink made from it. So it was.
Oh, you haven't had it straight?
No, I had a martini. So
it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Puts Grey Goose, in my opinion, to shame.
I had actually a Vesper, which is the martini named after James Bond's only love, the only one he ever loved. So you'll have to look up what that drink is.
Played by Eva Green.
Yes, you like Eva Green. I know that.
The smoldering Eva Green. Well, it's because let's face it. It's the she plays the anguish so well. She plays. Everyone who hasn't seen Penny Dreadful. When they built a series around her. I mean, no one plays the tortured soul better than her. So, yeah.
And she looks really intelligent too. Something about her facial structure.
Yeah.
I just like her. She's good. And I've only seen one episode of Penny Dreadful. I've not watched it, but
yeah, it's a dark show. Disney didn't produce it. Let's put it that way.
Well, I know there's one that people have referred to as Cat Gates, where one of the characters snaps the neck or wrings the neck of a cat. And once I heard about that, since I love cats, got 3 kittens. I'm like, nope, no more Penny Dreadful for me. Well, it just takes one thing.
Sorry. Still a good show though.
Yeah, and no cats were hurt in the making of it. I know.
Of course not. Of course not.
All right. Well, back to the show. We're talking about vodka, and we're talking about cats, and Eva Green, and James Bond, and Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes on the show of the very same name. This is episode 31. Mark Sargent over there, Patricia Steere here, and we've got another Q&A question. Feel free to just click on the little box on the YouTube video. And if you've signed in to Google Plus, you'll be able to ask a Q&A question. Probably won't work on a handheld device. At least that's what I've heard. This is from Alexandra Lopez, who says, I feel free to express some of my truth seeks with you guys. There's not a lot of people around me in Mexico with whom I can share these topics without being confused as a crazy person. True?
What? That bringing this topic up?
Yeah.
Wait. Was that a question?
Well, not really. She was just making a statement that where she is, there's not a lot of people on the same wavelength as her.
Look at that great video that you and I watched the other day, Controversy 7, that YouTube guy from Africa.
Yes.
Where he was actually making fun of country folk, in a village nearby wherever he was, saying that, they just had a hard time. They just couldn't get their head around it. Like their mind was going to explode. And again, it's tough to bring up to people. No question. You got to feel people out and see how open they are. Start with something small. Some small conspiracy, something older, like Pearl Harbor, JFK,
or the moon. You can go with the moon. Well, once you break down the whole NASA.
And if you're outside the country, do you think Americans went to the moon? Well, of course, most people outside this country are going, hell no, they didn't go to the moon.
Especially people from the UK. A lot of them are more up on the whole moon thing than most Americans are. They kind of think we're ridiculous.
Yeah, they were smart. Whoever was, I think, in the UK, because remember, UK doesn't have a space program, never have. Yeah, would have thought they would have. They had the money, they've got the people for it, so why didn't they? And I think they didn't want to even take part. It's like, let the Americans burn up resources. We're just going to do our thing and save $1 trillion, and they did. And again, they made fun of it, and I think some of their version of Hollywood. Remember in Diamonds Are Forever with Sean Connery, they made fun of it, a backhanded scene where Sean Connery ran across a fake moon set in America and stole a moon buggy from him. And the best part of it, people miss it, was they said, get him. And the two astronauts on set couldn't catch him because they were walking in slow motion and they wanted to stay in character. It was brilliant. Totally brilliant.
It was good. This might be the James Bond show in some weird way.
What are we going to argue about? Who's the best James Bond?
Oh,
and by the way,
Daniel
that's
Craig
Pierce Brosnan.
No.
Pierce Brosnan is the best James Bond, in my opinion. I know you're a fan of Daniel Craig. What? Because he's got. Well,
I like Sean Connery first, and then modern day. I'm going with Daniel Craig, definitely. And I've as yet to see the new James Bond as of the filming of this episode, which is November 9th, 2015.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. Yeah, I mean, it's scoring okay. I mean, it's certified fresh, but anyway.
All right. Jamal Williams writes, Neil deGrasse Tyson said on his Twitter, quote, there's no greater incentive to lie than the threat of punishment for telling the truth, unquote.
Wow. When did he say that? Because that'll come back to haunt him.
Whew, I don't know. The date.
Unfortunately, Neil deGrasse Tyson is in a really, really tough spot. I like him as a speaker. He's one of the most charismatic public speakers I have seen in a long time, especially in the science world. I don't care what science it is, which is lucky for him. He could jump over if he wanted to a different genre and do just as well when it comes to science. Unfortunately, he's so good at public speakers that he's become the front man of NASA. He's the front man of science. So if and when this thing breaks, if moves aren't made and this thing actually comes to light, you'll just see magazine covers or internet stories where just picture of him hanging his head, some meme underneath it where, it's like, oh, should have known. How did we miss it? Science lies, make up what you want. But the headlines he will be the guy because who else are you going to pick? Bill Nye? Yeah, he's a second, but he's a distant second. So.
And he's not even really a scientist, actually, is he?
Who?
Bill Nye.
Oh, no, not really. He started out actually up here in the Northwest. He was a television personality that had his own little Mr. Wizard show, which you can look up on YouTube. I remember watching him when I was younger.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched him as well, and I thought he was good. And I don't think you need to be a scientist with a lab coat to do science. I don't mean to say that at all.
Yeah, I love, by the way, the memes that he's been getting lately.
Oh, yes, some pretty funny ones people are making.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. I'm going to
put
that.
Nye, the science guy, goodbye, don't cry, things like that.
Yeah, breaking Bill, all sorts of fun little things. I'm including some of those. Fun. Of course, but he's still going down if this thing goes down.
Right.
So
Steve C. writes, if you are in the CIA, this is directed to me because Patricia, CIA in my name.
Oh, right.
if you are in the CIA and get a huge salary to sit around and make flat Earth videos, will you please tell me where I can sign up? LOL. Joke. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, that is the running joke.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah.
I prefer spy as opposed to CIA.
That helps you. How does this help you?
No, I just mean if people are going to
Fine, you want to go down
me.
All right. Well, somebody write her. You know how she signs. You guys haven't picked up on this yet. She signs her emails Miss Steere, right? But it's not Steer. It's Steere. So it's Miss Steere. Get it?
It's my last name, and I'm not unmarried, so I'm a miss. But yes, it is funny. But if somebody's going to falsely accuse me of being in the FBI, and somebody took a picture from my Facebook page and pasted it on an FBI badge, and then presented that as a real proof that I was in the FBI, and anybody could just look and go, wait a minute, that was a Facebook picture.
That's nutty. That's never going to happen.
Right. And then CIA, that's kind of dumb. But if I had to be that, FBI, CIA, I'd rather be a spy. There's that sort of international spy glamour that goes with it. So, like wearing all black and like hanging from a rope, like with James Bond. Yes, fake, of course. I know. Okay.
Yeah, like Angelina Jolie and Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh, yes, that's what I'd like to be.
Where she, when she did that hit on the whatever that Middle Eastern prince or whatever his name was, and she was decked out.
Sounds racist to me.
Really?
Kind of. Why would it have to be a Middle Eastern prince? Come on.
Well, no, I remember the scene. No, he was Middle Eastern. I'm pretty sure.
Right. I know. I don't mean you're racist.
Oh, no, I'm not picking on Middle Eastern people.
I just mean the show, the movie. To make the enemy be Middle Eastern is just so like, come on, people.
Yeah, it's cliche. You're right.
I like Angelina Jolie. I think she's very beautiful, but I don't know much about her other than
she's very pretty. She was a late bloomer too.
I thought she was beautiful from birth.
Well, you see her in Hackers?
She looked good there.
Girl Interrupted?
She looked good there too.
Not as
beautiful
good.
Bone structure.
Yeah, I mean, she really didn't come into her own. What launched her was Gia, and that wasn't even a major motion picture. That was a made for like Showtime movie.
Yeah, I actually have that on DVD.
Why does this not surprise me?
I have it on DVD because it was involving the modeling agency that she was involved with, and I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Right, a sad story about Gia. Oh crap, what was her last name?
Paragonini or something along those lines.
Who ended up dying from AIDS for sharing needles. Yeah.
Yeah, not good.
Not good.
But she did a good job in the thing, and it was exposing sort of the supermodel era, what was really going on there. Yeah. I was kind of fascinated by that sort of supermodel era of the 80s.
Really? You fascinated by models? Don't see why. What other fun things do we have?
We've got Riff Raff, who's a musician, actually, because I've heard his stuff. Yeah. Kind of friends a little bit through YouTube. Writes, hello, folks. Eating biscuits and drinking tea. Loving the show in Scotland. I got great meteorite and northern light footage from the weekend. I'll share later. So that was cool.
Thanks for listening out in Scotland. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And by the way, another great thing about the flat Earth thing is it's already been that's when you really know it's starting to get cool. It's already being translated into other languages.
Oh yeah.
Which Spanish, French. I had somebody ask for German transcripts a few months back. Africa, Australia. In fact, where hasn't it gone at this point?
Pig Latin. There's been no Pig Latin videos yet.
No, there hasn't. And there are some tribes in South America, which I'm sure aren't picking up the YouTube broadcast. But no, it's really gone everywhere, which is great. I mean, well, I was in that Russian magazine from Estonia. That was great. They ran a full blown 8-page article, and it was like, wow, that's great. And Eric was in there too, and Matt.
Cool. Yeah. As well it should be. It should all be flat Earth friends. Unfortunately,
flat Earth friendship, truth and harmony, love and tenderness.
Yeah. All right. Next up. One can only hope. I'm working toward that myself. Martin Lidke says, hi guys, thanks for giving us hope. I've started making rather bad videos. It's hard. I have great support from the Flat Earth guys, but I'm getting abuse, which makes me more adamant to get the word out. Thanks to you. Love you guys. So
anyone that's making videos, the videos aren't, I mean, I was a little intimidated when I made my first video, but I decided to do, I follow my strengths, and that is reading a narrative and doing slides. But if there are tons of great tutorials on YouTube, and the internet is just a wealth of information anyway. But go on YouTube and just type in how to make a YouTube video or best ways to make a YouTube video. There's all sorts of ways you can do it without having to do much. If you don't want to use your own voice, fine. You can use a voice translator, or do slides, or do short vids, or there's full-blown boilerplate templates for animations if you want to use those. There's all sorts of fun ways. So don't give up. It's not like jogging where you run out and do 200 yards, you get tired and you quit. Get back in there and look and see what's comfortable to you, because there's bound to be something.
Commandante Carlos, who's going to be my guest on Thursday, the 12th of November.
Broadcasting from Cuba, no doubt.
Exactly. Has written to us. Division is to be expected. This is a revolution. If it was easy, it would just be a science project. Welcome to the revolution.
Viva la revolution. Yes,
exactly.
He's absolutely right. Revolution or whatever.
We're just pronouncing Spanish and French all wrong today.
Yeah, we're gonna butcher this thing pretty badly, like Orphan Red trying to talk French. She did really well. She could, but her she was complaining because she said that her dialect wasn't sophisticated.
Well, it doesn't matter to me. She can speak 2 languages, and I can only speak English. So
yeah, I know a lot of guys were probably acting like when John Cleese spoke French in A Fish Called Wanda with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, exactly.
When she was going French, and she was like just melting all over the place. It was a great scene. Yeah, it's a revolution. Absolutely, it is. And you're right. It's not a science project, and there's going to be some bumps in the road, and it's fun. Again, if you don't know how much impact this thing is having already, look at the moves that NASA has made since the beginning of the year. Look at all the stories they put out. Look at where they're trying to take this thing, because they're stuck. NASA and the science world and the authority that backs them, they're in a tough spot. Because again, and I've talked about this before, where they can't talk about it directly because then they're talking about it. So you can't all of a sudden get a panel on CNN and try to squash this thing, because once you've done that, you're going to invite a whole bunch of other people to say, you know what, I'm going to look this up on Google or Bing or whatever, and they're going to, and you can't dictate where the public consciousness is going to go with it. So your best bet is just downplay, not give it any attention, and reinforce the globe model the best you can. And that is with movies, like The Martian with Matt Damon, or all the NASA stories. The NASA stories that have been out recently, and they're releasing them every freaking day. It's, and what was that thing? The NASA recruitment thing, which I gotta grab that. I was gonna throw that in on something. Go ahead.
Well, David Weiss of Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole has mentioned the fact that children are being assigned a homework assignment to go watch The Martian. How about that for programming?
That kills me.
I mean,
that just slays me. Yeah, and again, The Martian is not. You think at all? No, The Martian is just a remake of Red Planet, if I'm not mistaken, where Don Cheadle was trapped on Mars and they didn't know it, and they had to go rescue him. Gary Sinise and a few other people were in that one, and it's just a remake of that. That movie isn't that even that old. It's not even 10 years old, I don't think. So, yeah.
Next question here on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, episode number 31, with Q&A in effect, is from Demisa Williams, who says, is Mark, and even you, Patricia, willing to fly over Antarctica and come up the other side if possible? If flat earthers fund the flight, perhaps through Kickstarter, if you believe in the flat earth so strongly, then why wouldn't you do it?
I'd do it. Sure.
I'd do it too.
But there's a problem with that. And that is there's some big hurdles. One is, if you're going to be flying there, find a pilot that's going to fly over Antarctica without using the GPS system, because the GPS system is going to guide you where they want to guide you. They will monitor that flight from beginning to end. And I don't mean just normal monitoring. I mean, they will have specialists telling that plane exactly, so it's going to skirt a certain edge. Because once you get out over Antarctica, there's no real land markers to pick up on, which is why Admiral Byrd in the 50s took him 30 years of flying around, and he still didn't find it. It took him up until, I think, like year 30 to do it. So yeah, of course I'd fly over Antarctica, but it's good. It would be a bogus flight. at this point, unfortunately, because if I got on that plane, they'd hand you a GPS thing. They could tell you anything they want. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're crossing the South Pole, and we're going to go over the other side. No, the bigger question to ask is, why has nobody gone around it by ship? Why has there been no polar circumnavigation? That's the bigger one, because it's way tougher to do with a ship, because you're hugging the coastline. You're actually dealing with the coastline, which they do not want you to touch. Flying over the ice and snow, that's pretty easy. They can do whatever they want with you on that. Doing the coastline, though, that's different. And the Antarctic race, by the way, do you remember hearing about that?
Yes, indeed.
That's a horseshoe race, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
where it doesn't even go all the way around. And why wouldn't it go all the way around? It's just like going around Australia. Why wouldn't you go all the way around? Why is it a limited course? And that is because they just want to get you from here to there, and that it takes forever to do. If I'm not mistaken, it takes a couple months to do. So,
Well, it's just more programming to show that, we've been through Antarctica. Look at the race. See how it is. Flat earthers be damned.
The people that are hiding this are going to take, they're not dumb. There's some smart people there, a lot of, MIT grads, a lot of Harvard grads, people that are clever, people that score really high on tests. And, they will come up with some really, really great moves. Unfortunately, their hands are tied in certain ways where ours are not.
The Antarctic Treaty does not say that you cannot go there. But
of course.
It's so that when you do attempt to go there, you'll have a guide. You'll only be allowed to go in certain areas. You can fly a drone, but only in certain areas. You have to be escorted, permits, and it costs a lot of money to get there. And if you and I somehow found a pilot who'd be willing to fly without GPS, you've got a family member who's a pilot. And if we were able to get enough fuel, because, you don't want to be caught out and just run out of fuel.
What do you do at that
How
point?
far are we going?
Yeah,
we could easily be shot down. Seriously, that would happen if we didn't have the permission to fly.
Yeah, accidents happen all the time.
Right.
The negative reinforcements that they have put in place, the layers of negative reinforcements, have worked very, very well. Unfortunately, if you like people that are wealthy enough to have a private jet, they could do it. They could get clearance and try to do it, but they have a lot more to lose. And so even if they try to schedule a flight plan and try to go over it, they would probably be approached by someone saying, okay, look, national security, you can't do it. You try to do it, we're going to make life difficult for you. And so, it's a weird, again, the balance has worked out really, really well. But now, because of social media, that's really the big thing that's taken over this time, is that people are asking questions, and those questions are being repeated all over the place, and they can't dodge them forever, which is why the astrophysicists and the astronomers are hiding, because they don't know how to answer some of these questions. Like that one guy from England, the other guy that, I can't remember who wrote him, where the guy said, yeah, I know, he wrote him, and it's like he knew about the movement. He did know about the movement even before he got the email saying, yeah, I've heard about this flat earth thing, and I don't want to discuss it, because he can't.
JBiz says, hi to you both. Hope all is well, and thanks again for all your work. It's not work, it's fun. For me, anyway.
It's not. Yeah, I enjoy doing this. I really, really do, because every day is new. Every day there's some new piece, there's some little nugget, some little breadcrumb that's out there. Because again, the internet hive mind misses nothing, and it's really, really fun to see.
We've got from Matthew Eugene Rosa saying, what do you both think of Dark Skywatch 74's balloon tests and recent nonstop bashing of flat Earth he's doing, copying Wake the Sheeple, a balloon test that goes up to 19, 22 miles, but he admitted yesterday he's using a GoPro cam, blind leading the blind.
Yeah, anyone that people, before this is over, people are going to know full well what's a fisheye lens and what isn't. Fisheye lens is the easiest way to explain it is the exaggerated version is the peephole in your door. It's curved so that when you look through the peephole, you can see more of the hallway instead of just straight in front of it. It's curved so you can see quite a bit to your right and quite a bit to your left, so people can't just hide to the side of the door. You attach that same sort of lens to any sort of camera that's out and about, it's going to curve the horizon. It's going to curve the landscape, and it does, which is why I send people that comparison picture. I know I've sent it to you, where you've got the dog cam from UK compared to the Red Bull jump. Red Bull jump has some of the most exaggerated curves I've ever seen, impossibly curved surfaces, like they're up 10,000 miles. Whereas the dog cam footage, which is only 10,000 feet lower than the Red Bull, shows a perfectly straight horizon. So Don't tell me, yeah, what they're doing. Yeah, it's disinfo, but sometimes they don't know or they don't care. It's like, I'll just send up a GoPro cam anyway. It's like, no, you've got to get a straight up lens if you're going to send that thing up there. I know. I think
And
it comes
also,
default with a GoPro or default curve lens, I think, with that cam. But
if you see anything where it's morphing, the picture,
yeah.
not just the camera moving, but Earth is flat, Earth is concave, Earth is convex. You've
Yeah.
got a GoPro going on.
Yeah,
But there you go.
that's the dead giveaway. You're absolutely right. When you see the horizon bending like this, yeah, it's the dead giveaway that the lens is screwing it up.
But you can tell people who are ball earthers all day and all night, and they'll never believe you. So
They will one day.
yes,
Can't
they
hide
will.
from this forever. You can run,
That's right.
but you can't hide.
Here's a statement. You guys talk about how movies are programming minds. That you guys bring up movies every chance you get as a reference for many statements seems a bit hypocritical, maybe.
Not at all. We are, look, I absorb a lot of media, and especially in America, we watch a lot of movies. We do. If we didn't, the video rental industry wouldn't have been so gigantically huge in the 80s and 90s, and even in the 2000s. We watch, and how many television channels do our televisions have now? Do we even have a number? It's ridiculous. There's so much programming. The theaters, the multiplexes go up to, I don't know, 20 something theaters, depending on where you go. Like, there's a lot of movies out there, and especially if you're older, if you're in your, your 30s or late 40s, you've watched a lot of media. Oh, so yeah, there's a lot of it's burned into my head. No, I'm not bringing it up deliberately to mess with people, but there's a movie reference for just about every phrase you say out there. It's just a question of if you're going to use it. Jonathan and I, when we're talking, I think half of our conversation is just movies. We're talking to each other, and then we'll digress.
It's fun. And also, here's what I have to say about that. Yes, we bring up movie references because we're people who grew up watching movies prior to Flat Earth and found enjoyment in them and sort of absorbing all sorts of different types of media. But now, as Flat Earthers, I know I am, and I know you are, Mark, and all of us, for the most part, are able to watch these movies, even sci-fi, and we're not being programmed anymore. We're immune to it, and we can take it just as entertainment. Yeah. So I feel it's fair to bring these things up because those are the things that people in the mainstream are watching and getting programmed. So it's a good way to kind of, like, if your family's watching, a Mars movie or something like that, you can, if you've talked to them about Flat Earth, you can say to them, hey, look, let me point this out to you, how they're reinforcing the globe. You're the one in the know now, and you can watch these movies and not be, your mind won't be touched by them. You won't get brainwashed. Other people that might, and you might be able to use that movie as a starting point to have some sort of discussion about Flat Earth. Yeah. So, but there's also, we shouldn't be giving money to these evil companies who are making these lies. But then again, we all have to live in this world at this point. So you have to make your own decisions about what you want to do, what you want to participate in, how much you want to opt out of society. And I will never fault anybody who's fully integrated in society, who's a flat earther, or somebody who's living off the grid. Off the grid's ideal. We all can't do it. I'm not at that point now. I want to try a little bit harder to be a little more off the grid in the future.
Can you be off the grid and high fashion at the same time? Maybe.
Maybe. I'll try. Well, I don't buy clothes anymore. I have a lot of clothing because I used to own a clothing store and I've always been into fashion. I'm not buying anymore. So my materialism has gone down quite, but I'm not going to throw away what I have.
Well, so no, nothing like that.
Would be ridiculous. So I'll be living off the grid and solar powered, and I'll just be wearing like this outfit. Seems weird, really? But why not, right? Yeah.
So what else we got?
I'm not going to be wearing the shirt you're wearing, that's for sure.
Why are you picking on this shirt? This isn't a bad shirt. People write in if you like this shirt. Please write in to Patricia. I think it's okay. I'm not really a fan of plaid, but this particular one kind of works for me. It's darker. And
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Are you?
Yes.
I think you secretly hate it.
No, I do not.
No, you'd hate the Dockers I was wearing. I know that.
That's for sure. Burn them. All right, on with the questions. Teresa Gordon writes, how or why do earthquakes occur on flat Earth if we are fixed and not moving?
Because it's a mechanical system. It is a tectonic system. And, again, you've got to... I know everyone gives up things in stages. So at first they say, well, maybe the sun and the moon are mechanical, but not the oceans. It's like, okay, the oceans are mechanical, but not the ground. It's like, look, you wouldn't take chances in a system. That's why I made clue 6, which was depth perception. And that is, everything is mechanical. You don't leave, if you're building your own terrarium, right, for your favorite lizard, let's say, right, are you really gonna leave part of it organic, that it's, you might, but nothing that may hurt them. So yeah, the tectonic system, the tectonic plates, yeah, that's also, considered like a part of a big Swiss watch. There's gears moving around there. Now, of course, you're not going to have a giant earthquake, which is going to wipe out, 20 million, 30 million people. But yeah, you're going to let a few things go here and there. Think of Sim City, the great series from the early, the 90s and the early 2000s. Think of all the stuff you could do there. Nothing is left to chance in this. So no, earthquakes, part of the tectonic system.
Okay. We've got a guy named Gregory who wrote in, and I've got his email here. It says, hey, you're going to like this. Watching you and Mark this morning, meaning a previous show, you answered a question of mine and gave me a great reason. I too have been following Dutch Sense and Suspicious Observers, those two YouTube channels, from the beginning, and I wasn't relating now with the flat fact. You said it great, and I agree. They do great work and provide a smooth flow of information for us. And his question was, how do you break up when it's not their fault? And what he did to unsubscribe from the channels was not just unsubscribe, which I did. I just silently unsubscribed when I became a flat earther because what they talk about doesn't fit with my viewpoint. He actually wrote them a letter and wrote this. I have followed you for a long time and love what you do. Every morning for years now, I've awoke with you. I'm unsubscribing from the list for one reason. I feel there is enough evidence supporting a flat Earth than there is supporting a globe. Until you start recognizing the AE Earth map format, I'm having to withdraw. What you do is great. I just feel you're not using all the information available, and for the most part, you're using information from NASA. I do not support NASA. Love and aloha, Gregory.
Yeah.
Good way to let others know who are supposed truth seekers who aren't actually following up on flat Earth with the reason why you're unsubscribing. Maybe they'll never read it, but maybe they will.
Maybe they will. Again, people are not shy. I will say this about the internet, especially YouTube. People are not shy about forwarding around little things, especially the innocuous question, hey, have you heard about this flat Earth theory thing? That's the big one that seems to be thrown out there. I mean, it's direct. It's not exactly the mode I would take, but it's out there. I mean, that's why a lot of the interviews I've gotten have even materialized. It's because it's like, you should talk to this guy. You should talk to Mark Sargent. You should do an interview with him because he's talking about flat Earth and he sounds pretty convincing. Maybe you can debunk him. And they watch the stuff and they let me go in and say my piece, and it's gone very well so far.
All right. This is one more email here, and I will not name the woman's full name, but her initials are GK, so we'll call her GK. GK says she's been watching all the different videos on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes and mentions the one with Orphan Red, aka Sasha, and says she enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. She wrote that, I just want to say that not all the people who write aggressive, arrogant, and even vulgar comments on YouTube videos are necessarily paid shills. She says, I say that because my own son, who is 24 years old now, when I tried to introduce him to Flat Earth, he started to be very abusive verbally, called me a stupid moron, and many truly hurtful words. He was simply freaking out, and that was so sad for me to watch him in such an awful state of mind. He used to be a very nice young boy, but the more ambitious he became and more university courses he took, the more closed-minded / brainwashed he became. I stopped vaccinating him when he was 18 months old, and I tried to educate him about the truth in regard to vaccinations, but now he's almost a pro-vaxxer, and he even took a few shots in August before going to India. That truly broke my heart, as I know those vaccines are useless and very harmful, but my begging him not to do it actually had the opposite reaction. He almost despises me, and he even said that he wished he would rather be an orphan than to have such a moronic parent like me. He seems to be intelligent, but unfortunately he belongs to the majority of the population, which compromises highly suggestible people. I backed off and I don't talk to him on this topic anymore because his reaction was insane. So I think many of the people who pose these aggressive, abusive comments on YouTube videos are genuinely thinking like that. Their cognitive dissonance and huge ego will not allow them to open their mind and look critically at NASA and their fakery. They don't have to be paid to do that. They do it out of their own conviction. Of course, there are also paid shills, and they usually are those who post bad comments on all the Flat Earth videos. So She's trying now to work it out with her son. Very sad, but I imagine that that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And there's some people, again, you're messing with their world. And most people are going to brace against it. I'll steal that line from Tommy Lee Jones said in Men in Black, where he said, look, people like to think they have a good bead on things. And when you all of a sudden come to them and say you don't have a good bead on things, as a matter of fact, you have no idea what's going on at all, people don't like the free fall. They like to say, okay, where am I? Is everything, we like our routines. We like our world. We like thinking that we know where we are. And when you upset that, there, people get the first, again, the 5 stages of acceptance. The first one is always denial, followed closely by anger. And a lot of people get stuck in those first 2, where, it's like, no, I'm not believing you, and I'm going to fight you tooth and nail on it. Unfortunately, those 2 things, take out most logic, just gets thrown out the window. Only later, only with time, do they run into bargaining and then depression and then finally acceptance. But yeah, I understand exactly, where she's coming from, and just hang in there. Don't give up hope. I mean, this thing is all about hope.
Yes.
It's gonna, I think the end will justify the means, and it'll be worth the wait.
I don't know how much more time you have. I know you've got things you've got to do. We are coming up on 2 hours into the show. Do you have perhaps 10 more minutes that you can spare? Because we've got more questions.
For you, Patricia, I will spare them, yes.
All right, thank you. Good. This is from Joshua Stargaze, also in an email at Miss Steere, Miss M-I-S-S, Steere, S-T-E-E-R-E at gmail.com for the next show that we'll be doing next week. We do it once a week where we have the Q&A and Mark and I are together. Don't email me now because I won't be able to get it. So this would be for next week. Writes, asking for collaboration on figuring out how it's possible to see a comet for 18 months in an enclosed system, assuming that is what Earth is. What are comets? Could they be something else? And this is in reference to Comet Hale-Bopp. True. Thought about it myself.
You mean how you can see a comet for 18 months in the sky?
Yeah.
Again, it's part of the display system. We see why single out a comet for 18 months? We see Saturn forever. We see all the planets forever. What makes that different than, just it's 18 months? If the planets and the stars are part of the display system, then everything up there, with the exception of the weird stuff, maybe even some of the weird stuff is display. You don't know, but it's not hard to do. Don't treat anything temporary in the sky as unusual, especially if it's 18 months. If it's 18 months, I almost guarantee it's part of the display system, because no ship's going to hang out there for 18 months unless they're really, really bored or broken or stranded or something. So, you know where I'm kind of going with this?
Well, you can put anything you want in a planetarium if indeed we live in an enclosed system.
Again, if you wanted to put my Shrek-like head three-dimensional and put it on the moon, or make
why would you?
Make a second moon with my Shrek-like head and have that kind of rotating next to it. You could leave it there for any duration you want, or have it just kind of fade away for, over a period of 18 months, like it's drifting off into space. You could do it. There's nothing in the skies you can't do. Think of it. Remember, we can do this now on a much smaller scale. On a planetarium, and I know I'm repeating myself. I'm repetitive. I'm saying the same thing over and over, which is, if you want to spell out your name in stars, if you want to put your face on the moon, if you want to turn the sun off and on like a disco light, you could. There's nothing you can't do up there. It's literally up to whoever built this place. There's no limit to the sky when it comes to displaying anything. So a comet, 18 months. Why don't we talk about Halley's comet? But that you can see supposedly a long way away. And anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I think he was mentioning that. Phoenix Din writes, today Mark seems a bit too serious. Love issues?
Oh, that's so funny. No, I'm serious. What? Okay, I'm screwed either way here, because if I'm not serious, you're saying, oh, he's being too glib. But if I am serious, no, love issues.
You're walking the fine line between having a good time on the flat earth and being serious about the issue, which I myself do. Because we all want to have fun and we all want to be focused.
Yeah. I try to be as focused as I can. Plus, we opened the show with the whole Eric thing.
Yes.
So, that's going to put a little more serious tone on it. I don't want to, just, not one of those things. I'm not gonna, I can't follow, the Eric stuff with that. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that again, by the way.
So it's not love issues. All right, we've cleared that up.
No, it's not love issues. By the way, the fact that you said it's not love issues means there might actually be love issues.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, we're not. No, look.
Huh?
Next question. Next question.
Okay, all right. Just checking. This one is from Demisa Williams, who says, oops, what do you think and have on Roland Amundsen and Robert Falcon Scott, the guys who supposedly were first to reach the South Pole? Did they reach the edge? Did they reach what they thought was the South Pole, but really wasn't? What do you think?
Bingo. Yeah, they just reached what they thought was the South Pole because they did the math and said, "Oh, okay, this has got to be the South Pole," and that's where it ends. But unfortunately, Admiral Byrd had something else to say about that, which is, I'm just going to keep flying around the South Pole aimlessly for no apparent reason in my plane, and for decades, for basically the rest of his life. So no, he didn't get anywhere. I mean, yeah, it's probably the same place that they take tourists. You can pay $10,000, $12,000, have somebody take you to the place with the South Pole, like Prince Harry did recently.
Yes,
But
exactly.
that's about it.
Yeah. And some people like Prince Harry do it for show, which I think it was perhaps to show that, oh, the earth is a globe kind of thing, although maybe he wasn't told that's why he was doing it. And then other people are doing it just for a vacation trip.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll throw one more at you real quick. And that is, you also got to remember, and I've said this before in other things, which is the only picture that was released of Earth, the first one in 43 years, or the first one back in 1972, supposedly, that showed only one continent in its entirety, and that was Antarctica. Why would the only picture of Earth for 43 years show Antarctica? Why, out of all the places, you're going to show somewhere where nobody lives? Out of all the countries, it's an American program. Why aren't you taking a picture of the United States? It's because they want to kill two birds with one stone. It's a globe. This is what Antarctica looks like. Case closed. And then we're not going to talk about it for 43 years. Think about it.
Think hard. Think deep. Kevin Lovig says, we don't really need to answer this question because we've spoke of it before. The Taipei LAX flight diverted to Alaska for the baby in October. The diversion makes sense only on the Flat Earth map. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Kevin, for that. We've got Mojo Shop saying, could the 2 to 3 mile high Antarctic ice wall have tall wireless communication transmitter towers supplying TV, etc., all the way to the northern center?
Maybe. And by the way, it's not 2 to 3 miles at the coastline. The coastline, it's only about a couple hundred feet, which is still pretty daunting if you're using wooden ships or even metal ships, if you don't have a beachhead to put people on. But it slopes up really, really fast. So the plateau gets up to 2 miles really, really quickly, and then it goes up pushing 3 miles and further. Yeah, if you want to put transmitters there, that would be a good place to put them. Why not? The military runs it. You could do all sorts of secret stuff out there.
And I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be stationed out there, though. It sounds brutal.
Yeah, it certainly does. You got a positive thumbs up comment on your shirt from Chris.
Hey. Well, ask Chris where he's from. Yeah, he's probably going to be from the Northwest. It's a Northwest type of shirt.
Yeah, it's nice, though. I think it's good. What else?
You don't have to lie to make friends. That's okay.
I know. Well, Daz Willott says, Patricia, Mark, is it me or have you guys noticed there's a lot of camera shots from the mainstream news? Just lost that. High above from the top of buildings, etc. Is it possible that some of them are flat earthers and they're trying to plant seeds?
Ooh, that'd be cool. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be neat. Put out as many horizon shots as you can. Luckily for us, and this works in our favor, is that if you Google, the horizon pictures, there's so many out there, and 99% of them are flat as a board. Very few have curves in them at all. So that works in our favor.
We've got deep inside the rabbit hole, David Weiss asking, and more like stating, if you calculate the curve for a quarter of the Earth, the drop will equal half the diameter, proving the formula.
There you go. Sure.
So there you go. Yeah. He knows what he's talking about.
David Weiss.
Yes. Oh, and it's Chris from England, by the way, who complimented your shirt.
Chris from England. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're in the same latitude.
And plaid, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yes.
From England, I'll take that as a compliment.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's so many questions. I'm trying to get to people who haven't been. Somebody asked, when will you interview Eric Dubay? A vegan warrior has asked that question. So, oh, no, that's Phoenix Dindin asking that question. He's been invited. He has declined, is my answer.
And I am the reason he'll never come on this show, because he doesn't want to have anything that I've sullied.
Have you sullied me? Have you tainted me?
Oh, don't start. Wow. I was going to use the word.
That word, sullied.
Sullied, yeah.
Good. Allison Welch says, Patricia, such a good point on how one's materialism reduces through this truth. It's true. Very much. I used to shop a lot, buy lots of clothes. Cody George says, the shirt works for you, Mark.
Thank you, Cody. That's really, really nice.
We're talking about me reducing my materialism, and you were getting complimented on your shirt. It's kind of funny.
You know, I can't
wear shirts.
I can't endorse Under Armour every show.
I prefer this over the Under Armour. That's kind of hard to say. Over the Under Armour look.
Over the Under Armour?
Yeah. Over the Under Armour. Teresa Gordon brings up a movie and says, do you think the movie Logan's Run was a first attempt at the Matrix, or kind of that idea?
Logan's Run is a masterpiece as far as the concept goes. Yeah, it's a little cheesy because it was a 1967 book turned into a 1976 movie. And but the concept was brilliant. The concept, which is you can create a utopia, but you have to fool the society to do it, which is very, very telling. And yeah, it was like an early Matrix, but it was real. Whereas you tell everybody basically up front, and the book was a little different, but in the movie, you tell everybody, oh yeah, by the way, your life expectancy is only 30. And at 30, you get recycled. You know, you go into reincarnation. But and everyone has these little counters on their crystals on their hands to let them know. And it's fascinating. And it works because it lowers health costs by 90-something%, because no one lives over the age of 30. So your healthcare costs are almost diminished to nothing. A lot more leisure time, futuristic society. Fascinating concept. I mean, yeah, on the surface, it feels kind of cheesy because it's kind of dated, but in its day, it won Academy Awards for special effects. Of course, it was the year before Star Trek or Star Wars came out, so thank God for that.
And spinning it positively too, that people were excited to die. Because they believed that they were going to be coming back.
I mean, you got to think at the end of the movie, I hate to say this because, I'm kind of going to be a downer here, but they basically destroyed civilization at the end by telling people, oh, by the way, you can live past 30. Oh, great. That wonderful little great system you built. Yeah, that's all going to get eroded away and going to be gone within a couple of generations.
Another good movie, Soylent Green. When people got old, they got turned into Soylent Green so people could eat it. So wow, the minds that we have. Here's another question. It's a comic book question, Mark, so I know this is directed toward you, from Bozidar Durovic. Do you know any Flat Earth related comic books? I personally know only one, an episode of Italian comic Martin Steere called Zone X that is about 20 years old now.
Yeah, there's not many Flat Earth. I think there's like a Flat Earth animated show out there somewhere, and I can't remember the name of it. It was kind of like a Lord of the Ringsy mystical type thing, and I can't remember the name. I don't even think I even watched it all the way through, but no, very, very few, if any.
All right. In our remaining minutes, I'm trying to get in as many new commenters as possible. From Lee JJ. My name is JJ, listening from Korea, South. I've been absorbing Flat Earth information since last June. I accidentally found Flat Earth clues. It's still very early stages in Korea, but I'm starting to see some people upload their blogs about Flat Earth. Yes.
Right on.
That's cool. We don't get to see what's going on in many other parts of the world.
Yeah. Wherever you are in the world, stay flat.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks, Lee JJ. We hope you continue to watch the shows and are a future commenter as well, so we can just sort of monitor what's going on there where you are. Demetrius Easley says, on the subject of the South Pole, Andrea Barnes, anyone found more info on her? And also it's tagged with hashtag Go Rams beat Seattle, LOL. That's for you, Mark.
So funny. Yeah, the Seahawks are having some trouble this year. But you know what? Back-to-back Super Bowls and probably the worst call at the end of the Super Bowl in history. I'm not going to dwell. But Andrea Barnes, again, Andrea Barnes is an interesting story. Whether it's true or not, that's a whole other thing. But the Admiral Byrd, for me, the Admiral Byrd thing trumps everything that's done out in the Antarctic. So yeah, while the Andrea Barnes story is interesting, and again, a great movie of the week, the Admiral Byrd work is epic. I mean, that's got blockbuster written all over it. I could write a screenplay for this thing. I know I could. It'd be awesome. I even know how the intro would go. I'm not going to tell anybody right now, though.
All right, maybe 2 more questions or something?
Sure.
All right, so let's see. I'm trying to get people who haven't been on before. I don't know. This name doesn't ring a bell. Maybe I've read a question before. Adrian Kobashi says the flat Earth theory would imply that the airline companies, the pilots, the ocean ships know everything about this. Have we truly not found anyone inside the system to speak out to the public about this lie? Someone that has real work experience proof. And I know you have found experts. So can you briefly touch on those?
Yeah. They don't know. And there's the big reason is because of the GPS system. It stands for Global Positioning System, designed by the United States Department of Defense in the mid-90s. And one of the people who was on my show was a flight instructor. It still is. He still owns his own flight school. And because I asked him that very question. He's going, well, how did the pilots miss this? He's going, you know what? We're too busy to care most of the time. It's such a leap of faith. And I touched on this in one of the clues too, where if you're getting from point A to point B and you're working all your guides and doing all your stuff and you're going through your pre-flight checklist, your in-air, everything that you're doing takes away from your free thinking. So even if you know that the fuel consumption's wrong and the horizon looks wrong and all this, what are you going to do? You really going to make that leap to flat Earth? And I'm sure some pilots have. But if you're a pilot and you make that leap to flat Earth, kind of like what this guy was saying, he's going, who are you going to talk about it with? You going to talk about it down in the pilot's lounge? You're going to bring it up to your company's supervisor? You're going to bring it up to the FAA? They'd lock you away. Some pilots know, but do all pilots know? No, not by a long shot. I'm sure only a fraction of them do. It's the system that guides them. That's who knows it. The GPS system, they just follow it. They just plug in the coordinates and go. As long as they land in the place they're supposed to land, they don't notice. Same thing with the ships. Ships have to make course corrections all the time, which is why the Navy guy that I brought up, he said when he talked about navigation in the seas, he's going, the maps are wrong all the time, but nobody does anything about it because eventually you get to where you're going. Nobody's made the connection yet, and that's what this thing is all about, making the connection.
Somebody added the Andrea Barnes comment that we should know that it was made up by a documentary company. So I'm going to have to look into that myself.
Maybe.
Quite possible. And a final question, and I'm really sorry I didn't get to all the questions. We tried to rip through them as quickly as possible, but this is from a new commenter, Steve S. The Earth is 3 million kilometers closer to the sun for a northern hemisphere's winter. So Earth being 3.3% closer doesn't make it warmer, yet the 0.0004% change from solstice to solstice halves the average temperature. It does not make sense.
Excellent point. I don't even think I have to comment on that. Just rewind it and play it again, whoever wants it.
Exactly.
The solar cycle and our orbiting the sun does not match up with the temperature changes because the sun isn't 93 million miles away. It is right up there. It is way closer, way smaller, and it's all yours.
Well, this has been a fantastic show, as always.
I enjoyed being here.
I enjoyed you being here. And we'll do something next week quite similar, but totally different, and try to rip through more questions. And I appreciate everybody who asked questions. And if I didn't get your question, I'm very sorry. Doing the best I can here. We can't do 3-hour shows. It's hard enough getting people to watch 15 minutes of a show, right?
Yeah.
So that concludes another edition of Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Mark, anything you've got coming up on your Strange World show on your channel? Mark.
Yeah. Strange World is tomorrow night, and I'm going to read a statement. I knew it was eventually, because I've had Navy, I've had flight instructor, surveyor, and all that. I'm going to read a statement from a United States Army artillery radar operator, and he's going to basically state, he's going to agree with the submarine, basically the Navy guys, and say that there's no curve there, and he's going to line it up, and he's going to give some details on the systems he's using, and that'll be great. Just another person to tack onto the list of pros. Find me somebody in the professional industry that's going to come on and say, try to rebuttal this. They're not. I mean, you can be a professional debunker all the way you want, but unless you now have the qualifications of some of these guys, your words are hollow. They're meaningless. And
to watch that show, I'll be listening live on TFR, Truth Frequency
Truth Frequency Radio.
Radio.
Real
And,
people, real radio.
You can listen live. I'll be listening live. Or later, you can just watch it when he uploads it to his channel, Mark K. Sargent. And there is a note from somebody who said, Patricia and Mark, Andrea Barnes was invented by Bullfrog Films. So we all have to look into that. It's perhaps indeed a story, not a real thing.
Maybe. But it's not what I don't focus on it. So
I don't either. Cool. It just never felt right to me, but I don't know a lot about it. All right. Thanks to everybody. And let's get some more togetherness and love, peace, and harmony, as trite as that may sound. Kindness. Be kind to each other. Support each other. You find a new YouTuber, you like their work, share it on your Facebook page. Or let me know about it if you don't want to share it, and I will share it. Support one another. We are all here on the Flat Earth working toward throwing off these chains that have bound us for all of these years, and our parents and our grandparents. We all have had to live a lie. Why don't we right now get it right and move toward that new golden age? Mark, thank you very much.
Hey, put a little flat in your heart, okay?
That's right. And keep it flat.